गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि वचक्षुरा ततम् ॐ ऐं ह्रीं श्रीं क्लीं हसौ जगत्प्रसूत्यै नमः। ॐ श्लीं श्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्रह्माय नमः। Everybody say after me, Hare Rama Krishna 3 times. Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Welcome back. Are there any questions so far? Okay. Like I said, I was thinking of starting a new topic today, and I just decided during the prayer, I decided that I will start the topic of Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. There are two techniques that were specially mentioned by Parasara as suitable for Kali Yuga. He said that people in Kali Yuga are relatively dumb, they can't think much. If you give them too many factors, too many subjective factors that you have to balance and juggle, they just get lost. So he said that for the intellectual pygmies of Kali Yuga, he said to give readings on an annual, monthly and daily basis with relative ease in making the reading. He said there are two techniques that stand out. One of them, like I mentioned earlier in a previous class, was Ashtakavarga, and the other thing that he mentioned is Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. When he was teaching the topic of Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, he said that people don't have to worry too much about too many factors. They can just use thumb rules and then make reasonable predictions in Kali Yuga. And he said that by combining Ashtakavarga and Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, one can give very reasonable annual, monthly and weekly and daily readings. So that is what Parasara said. And the problem with Sudarshana Chakra Dasa is there are a few different viewpoints regarding how to compute it. It's not really, even though Parasara said it's a really easy technique for Kali Yuga, people in Kali Yuga are so messed up that they are confused even about such simple technique, where the judgment is relatively objective, but when it came to computation, people just got confused. So there are multiple ways to interpret, and obviously what I am going to teach is how I interpret Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. And this is not something that was taught to me by Pandit Sanjay Rai. So this is not something that came in the tradition, even though whatever I understood based on reading Parasara, I did discuss with Sanjay ji, and there is a mutual agreement that this is the acceptable interpretation of Parasara. But this is mainly from Parasara. This knowledge is from Parasara's textbook rather than from the tradition. And the way, unfortunately, I don't have Sudarshana Chakra in my software, but Parasara talked about casting a chart. He called it Sudarshana Chakra. Does anybody know what is Sudarshana Chakra? No, pardon me? Yeah, Lord Vishnu has it in his hand. It's kind of, it looks like a wheel, and then it keeps going. If you go to mythological movies in India, especially made in Telugu language, you see whenever you see Vishnu or Krishna, you see a wheel kind of thing standing on his right hand, index finger, and then rotating, and they show it with a lot of special effects in movies, in mythological movies made in India, and then he's supposed to use that to kill demons, basically cut off their heads, especially when he killed Shishpala. When Sri Krishna killed Shishpala, he used that particular weapon. So it's basically portrayed as a weapon of Vishnu. But bottom line is it's a chakra, it's a wheel, it looks like it's a circle. So the way Parasara thought about making this chart is, I'll just make something in paint here, MS Paint. So make circles. Make some concentric circles. Oops, that's not good. Okay, that's good enough. Let's say you make circles like this. We need one more. So the way Parasara describes Sudarshana Chakra Dasa in his software, I haven't, not in his software, in his book, I have not implemented it in my software, but the way Parasara describes Sudarshana Chakra in his classic Brihat Parasara Hora Shastram is basically draw, actually did he say, no actually he just said, one of them is not mistake. He just said make 3 concentric circles with the same center and then draw lines. Let me draw some lines. Interestingly, this is kind of like the way chart is cast by some Western astrologers. Even though they don't have 3 wheels, they just have 1 wheel. So I apologize to those who just have the audio to listen to, but imagine 3 concentric circles and then from the center draw 12 lines. Basically you are dividing the zodiac. Each of these circles represents the zodiac and you are dividing the zodiac into 12 parts. Obviously these are the 12 houses. Okay? And one of them is Aries, one of them is Taurus, etc. And he did not say place Aries in so and so place. He just said place the first house. And first house from what? As you can see, there are 3 houses here. There are 3 circles. So obviously I am talking about 3 differences. Can anybody guess what those 3 differences are? Lagna, Moon and Sun. So we place Lagna here, we place Moon here, we place Sun here. So if you take Lagna, Moon and Sun and take the 12 houses from them and then place all the planets. So if you take Mars for example, he may be in 3 different houses. From Moon he may be in the 2nd house. From Lagna he may be in the 2nd house. From Moon he may be in the 7th house. From Sun he may be in the 12th house. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are the 12 houses from Lagna. And here, yeah, that is how people normally draw. I'm not sure if he clearly prescribed it, but the bottom line is how you represent is not really a big deal. The bottom line is what they stand for. And as long as you have a consistent methodology, it should be fine. And I believe Parasara described putting Lagna here and then going anti-clockwise for the houses. So these are the 12 houses from Lagna, these are the 12 houses from Moon, and these are the 12 houses from Sun. So we take Lagna, Moon and Sun and take all the 12 houses and then see which planets are influencing which houses. So he said, apart from the dasha that I am going to talk about, even when you see the chart natally, natal chart and want to see how is the career of the person, how is the marriage of the person, etc. He said, taking Lagna alone is not sufficient. You take Lagna, Moon and Sun. This is the tripod of life. Lagna, Moon and Sun. These are the 3 levels of existence. Body, mind and soul. That together comprises your overall existence, your overall ego, your overall who you are, not just Lagna. And when Parasara was describing this, his student, Maitreya asked, but lot of sages just take Lagna and make houses and give readings. Is that not scientific? Is that not right? And then Parasara said, yes, that is not right. You are supposed to take all the 3. So that is a clear guidance from Parasara that ignoring the Surya Lagna and Chandra Lagna is not accurate. You have to look at all the Lagnas. In all the analysis we do most of the time, we just take Lagna. That is just the body. if you want to see what kind of work somebody does, of course, we did some examples where we saw the 10th house from moon. Because a lot of the work that we guys at least do, intellectual workers do, is mind work. It's not really body work. My body is not really doing much when I'm doing software. My body is just sitting in a chair. It's not doing much. Whatever work I'm doing through my mind. So obviously the 10th house from moon in my chart is very important when you see my career. And naturally, old people like my father, when they made charts, when they looked at charts, they gave a lot of value to Chandra Lagna. They took moon as the reference point and saw houses and saw various house lords where they were. For example, in my chart, Aquarius has moon in the Rasi chart, and the 10th house is Scorpio, and the Lord is Mars, and there are no planets there, and it is being aspected by. Does anybody know who is aspecting Scorpio in my chart? By Grahadrashti? My chart has Mercury, Venus, Mars and Saturn in the 8th house, Aries. None of them aspects. Actually, Mars aspects Scorpio. No other planet aspects it. Jupiter is in Libra, so he is not aspecting Scorpio. Rahu is in Aquarius, he is not aspecting Scorpio. Sun is in Pisces, he is not aspecting Scorpio. You can actually see the chart. So if you see my chart, the 10th house from moon is Scorpio, and the only planet that has Grahadrishti on this is Mars. So Mars is the lord of the 10th house from moon, and he is the only one who has Grahadrishti on it. So he wants it and he has a desire to influence it. He has an internal desire. So naturally, my father concluded when I was a small kid, even though you can also look at the 10th house from Lagna, etc., maybe Mercury can also show software engineering, but he can also show so many other things. My father clearly decided he will be an engineer, probably electrical engineer. So he decided that based on the Martian influence, Mars in Aries influence, when I was a small kid. Like that, if you go to old astrologers, they never go just by Lagna. They always go by Lagna and moon. They look at the Chandra Lagna and houses, especially for career. If you want to see mental peace, happiness, emotional stability, career, and relations with other people, when you are judging all these things are not strictly relating to body. They are kind of related to body, but also very strongly related to the mind. So when you see those things, naturally you have to take the houses from moon. So what Parasara said in Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, where all this came from, is Parasara explicitly said when Maitreya asked, so many people just use Lagna, is that wrong? He said, yes, that is wrong. You have to use all the three. So keep it in mind that you have to combine all the three differences and see, then find out the dominating influence. And then you will have more perfect reading. So Lagna, Moon and Sun are the tripod of life, and you take all those as reference points and then find houses. So I will not really complete this chart, put planets here and make a chart here, because you can pretty much get the same thing by looking at this chart and take Lagna as reference and take 12 houses. Keep your mind focused on Aquarius and then take the 12 houses. Keep your mind focused on Pisces and take the 12 houses. So you can use your mind to basically work around. Even though the software does not provide us Sudarshana Chakra, you can look at the normal Rasi Chakra and then make the Sudarshana by yourself. So I was not motivated enough to add Sudarshana Chakra to the software because I can work without it. It is convenient to have all the three charts in one place, but I can as well use the Rasi chart and mentally rotate it and then put them all together. So I did not add it, but hopefully I will add it in the near future. Anyway, so what Parasara taught is, look at the houses from all the three differences and find the dominating influences. What are the important influences on those houses? And then from that you can conclude the influence that really dominates, and then you can make predictions. When you use Dasha, then you can say this planet's Dasha will give this result, this planet's Dasha will give this result, and so on. So that is Parasara's guidance. And the refinement of that guidance by Sanjayji's rule is, when you use the Dasha, you use Sun as the reference when judging Mahadasha, Moon as the reference when judging Antardasha, Lagna as the reference when judging Prachantardasha. Of course, you can use all the three at all levels, but the teaching is, when you are talking about a long term, what your soul really wants you to do during that long period. That takes precedence. But of course, what your body wants you to do, body can make you do immediately. But what your soul wants you to do, it needs a long term to basically work its way through, because you are not really easily accessible to your soul. So soul works over longer period, whereas mind works over smaller periods, and body, lagna, that works over very small periods, that has fine control over you. So that is the logic behind how Sanjay ji refined this particular teaching to tell you which difference is more important at a particular level. That apart, if you have to strictly follow Parasara, you can do the analysis that I said. We can take an example. So let us say, what is the dominating influence on the second house? Second house is the house of money, speed, etc. So if you want to see when money will start coming, etc., you have to see what is the dominating influence on the second house in this chart. So let us use the second house in the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa and then see what are the dominating influence. First, yes. I'll come to that later. For now, let's say it's applicable only to Rashi. So, when we see this Rashi chart and when we see the second house from Lagna, what are the influences on the second house from Lagna? Let me just make a table here. Let me open a Word file and make a table. Okay. Letter A, I think. No, right. Let me make 3 columns. Owner, occupant, and aspected. So I'll make 3 columns. Let's say 10 rows. Let us just make a list of all the planets who influence the second house. So let me write the owner here, let me write the occupant here, and let me write the aspectors here. And let's take the Graha Drishti now to see which planets have a desire to influence that house. So if you take the owner, who's the owner of the second house? First let us take from Lagna. So Venus is the owner, right? Libra is the second house from Lagna and Venus is the ruler. And who are the occupants? Jupiter, that's it. Okay. And who are the aspectors? Okay, just Jupiter, nobody else. Okay. Aspectors. Basically, so many planets. Mars, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Rahu. Right? Yeah. Rahu has aspect on the 5th and 9th houses from him, right? 2nd, 5th, 9th. He aspects like Jupiter, and in addition he has aspect on the 2nd house. So, for me, I am just taking Graha Drishti here. You can also take Rashi Drishti, but I want to make it simple. So I want to see who has a desire to influence, who is right there to influence it, and who are the owners of it, who have responsibility for it. So these are the influences when you take the second house. This is second house. So when you take the second house, these are the influences from Lagna. Now let us see the influences from Moon. Moon is in Aquarius, right? So when you make the Chandra Chakra in the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, if you take the 3 parts of Sudarshana Chakra Dasa and call them Lagna Chakra, Chandra Chakra and Surya Chakra, in the Lagna Chakra we identified the planets that have something important to do with the second house. Let us do Chandra Chakra now. In the Chandra Chakra, Aquarius is the Lagna and second house is in Pisces, right? Who are in Pisces? Or who is the owner of Pisces? Jupiter. Who are in Pisces? Sun. Sun, that's it. Actually Gurukrpa is also there. If you want you can write him, but you probably don't care about Gurukrpa. Now aspectors. Who are aspecting this house? Rahu. Rahu aspects the second house. Okay? Now let us take the Surya Chakra. If you take the Surya Chakra, the Lagna here is Pisces. Because Surya is in Pisces, Sun is in Pisces. So from Pisces, if you take the 12 houses, The second house falls in Aries. Who is the Lord of Aries? Mars. Who are occupants of it? Mars, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Mandi. Or let's forget Mandi and Gurika. So these are the occupants. Now who are the aspectors? Pardon me? Jupiter, who else? Does anybody have Grahadrishti on Aries? Yes, just Jupiter. Now, is there any planet that stands out in all the three ways? Any planet that influences the second house from Lagna, Chandra and Surya? Jupiter. He is the occupant of the second house from Lagna. He is the owner of the second house from Chandra Lagna. He is the aspector of the second house from Surya Lagna. So Jupiter has a strong link to the second house. Okay? Who else is dominating? Lot of other planets are dominating. If you take influencing any two levels, if you take Venus for example, he influences the second house two ways, in the Lagna Chakra, and he influences the second house from Surya Chakra also. So Venus is a strong candidate, and even other planets who are with Venus, Mars, Mercury and Saturn, they all have something to do with the second house from Surya Lagna as well as normal Lagna, in the Lagna Chakra as well as Surya Chakra. So all those planets become important significators as far as the second house is concerned. But who is the strongest planet? Jupiter. So can you conclude that when Jupiter's periods come, when his Dasha, Antardasha, etc. comes, that will result in lot of money, lot of knowledge, etc., lot of second house related things, good speed, good predictions, good money, etc. Can we make that conclusion just based on the Rashi chart? If we ignore the divisions, we just want to make readings based on the Rashi chart, can we say that? Yes. So this is how Parasara, this is the basic way Parasara taught how to use Sudarshana Chakra. And like I told you, to remind you again, he said that if you don't want to balance too many factors, just want to count things and do things in a dumb way, in a very objective way, actually objective and dumb are kind of synonyms. Because anything that is not objective, anything that is subjective, that requires a lot of intelligence. Only objective things are the only things that even dumb people can do. Of course, intelligent people can also do that. But bottom line is, he said that objective methods which even intellectual pygmies can use in Kali Yuga are Sudarshana Chakra Dasa and Ashtakavarga. So realize that this technique will have lot of thumb rules which may not be perfect but which are quite reasonable. So that is the speciality of Sudarshana Chakra Dasa and Sudarshana Chakra. Now let us see the seventh house. Okay? Let us see the seventh house and see who have something to do with the seventh house. So I will leave one row and write the seventh house here. I want you guys to help me. Now first Lagna. Who is the owner of seventh house from Lagna? Jupiter. From Lagna. Who is the occupant of second house? Sun. Actually, you know what? We can just cut and paste this row here. Right? Because the second house from Chandra Lagna is basically the seventh house from Lagna. Now, we are done with the seventh house in the Lagna Chakra. Now, seventh house in the Chandra Chakra. Where is Moon? In Aquarius. Where is the seventh house? Leo. Right? Now, who is the owner of it? Sun. Who is the occupant of it? Ketu. Who is the aspector of it? Moon, Rahu. Who else? That's it? I think that's it. Who? That's it. Now take the Surya Lagna. Who is the seventh lord from Surya Lagna? Mercury. Who is the occupant? None. Who are the aspectors? Sun. Now if you see the seventh house, which is the planet that really dominates? Sun. You can see that Sun is the planet that is really dominating when it comes to the seventh house. So when you are expecting seventh house related results, you should expect Sun to have a strong role in the seventh house results. Okay? So like this, you take the houses from Lagna, from Moon and Sun, and take who aspect, who occupy and who own those houses, and see the common influences and give importance to those planets. Those planets should be strongly indicative. When the marriage happens in the Dasha or Antardasha, those planets should really dominate. Now, having covered the basic point, let me define the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. Because the best use of the Sudarshana Chakra is with the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. There is a Dasha that goes along with this particular chakra, as Parasara talked about. And the definition of the Dasha is extremely simple. The Dasha, the way Parasara defined it is, this is a Dasha that has a 12-year cycle. Every 12 years the Dasha cycle gets over. If you take Inshottari, it's 120 years. If you take Ashtakavarga Dasha, the cycle is 108 years. If you take, for example, Shashtihayani Dasha, what is the cycle of the Dashas in that Dasha? 60, as the name implies. So like that, various Dashas that we know have cycles starting from 36 and going all the way up to 120. But this Dasha has a cycle of 12 years. So every 12 years the same Dasha cycle keeps repeating. Does it mean the same results keep repeating in life? No. Because Parasara did not say that you judge this Dasha from the natal chart. He said this Dasha is exclusively judged from the Dasha Pravesha Chakra. Based on the positions of planets, when the Dasha started, and when the Antardasha started, when the Pratyantardasha started, based on it, you conclude what will happen during that year or month or 2.5 days. And as you can guess, from what I said, each Dasha is of 1 year. So there are 12 Dashas. I said the cycle is 12 years. So there are 12 Dashas, each being 1 year. And each Dasha has 12 Antardashas. Each Antardasha being 1 month. Each Antardasha has 12 Pratyantardashas. So each Pratyantardasha is of 2.5 days. Okay? 60 hours roughly. So that is how this Dasha basically goes. And we use the solar years here. We don't use any other kinds of years, because Parasara very clearly, not very clearly, but almost clearly indicated that solar years should be used here. Use the word Varsha, not Samvatsara or some other words. Varsha clearly has a connotation of being the solar year. Okay, so the definition is very simple. You don't need software. Actually, Jagannatha Hora has this Dasha, but you don't really need software for this Dasha. You can do it mentally. The definition is, the first year in the life of the native is the Dasha of the first house. The second year is the Dasha of the second house. Third year is the Dasha of the third house. Fourth year is the Dasha of the fourth house. So 12th year is the Dasha of 12th house. And then the 13th year is again first house. So take which year the person is running. Not how many years he finished, but which year he is running. And then do modulo 12. Remove 12 multiples. Expunge the multiples of 12 from that number. You know which house Dasha he is running. Period. It's so simple. So, those of you who know Tajika system, I haven't really taught Tajika system until now. There is a system known as Tajika system. Some people spell it as T-A-J-A-K-A like Dr. Raman, and some people spell it as T-A-J-I-K-A, Tajika. That is the actual way Nilakantha wrote that word. Nilakantha is the scholar. He is basically from a few centuries back. He is the one who wrote a commentary on Jaimini Sutram, a very celebrated commentary. And that scholar, Nilakantha, he wrote a book called Tajika Saram. So, in that book, he wrote the essence of the Tajika astrology. There is a branch of astrology known as Tajika astrology. So, Nilakantha wrote about it. And some people say, the standard opinion is that this technique came from Tajikistan. A country which used to belong to the USSR, but which has separated now. It's called Tajikistan, which is near Kazakhstan. Of course, probably you don't even know where Kazakhstan is. It is near Kyrgyzstan. But this technique is supposed to come from Tajikistan, and also there are some yogas and some aspects, etc., used in this technique, Tajika astrology, which has parallels with the Arabian astrology. So some of this knowledge may be concentrated in the Turkmenistan, Turkey, Arabia, and then Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, this whole area. And some great experts a few centuries or millennia back in this technique may have lived in Tajikistan, and that's where it probably came from. So some people don't accept this as Vedic astrology, as Hindu astrology. They call it foreign astrology. But the fact that Nilakantha, who's a very celebrated Hindu astrology author, he wrote Jaimini Sutram commentary. So if somebody like him considers this as a part of Hindu astrology and writes a book on this in Sanskrit, you can't really dismiss it as not Hindu astrology. And even Dr. B.V. Raman, when he taught Tajik, he wrote a book called Vashafal. That book is basically about Tajik astrology. And he considered it a part of Hindu astrology. So I also consider this a part of Hindu astrology. But the point I was going to make was, whether you consider it as a part of Hindu astrology or not, you should realize that that technique has parallels with what I am teaching right here. In that technique, see, in the way you use the technique is, if you go to the Tajika screen, even though Nilakantha and a lot of modern scholars use the spelling Tajika, I chose to use the spelling Tajaka simply because Dr. Raman used the spelling, simply for that reason. Otherwise, you can just call it Tajik instead of Tajak. Anyway, if you go to the Tajaka tab in Jagannatha Hora software, you just type the year. You see for which year you want the Tajika chart, and then say click find Tajika chart. Then you get an annual chart. This annual chart is basically like our Tithi Pravesh, except that this is not based on the lunar calendar. This is based on the solar calendar. So you make the annual chart, when sun comes back to his natal position. The exact degree, exact minute, exact second that he occupied at birth. After exactly 365 point whatever fraction days, he comes back to that position. Then a new solar year will start in the life of the native, not lunar, solar. You make a chart then. Again after one more year, after 365 days, he comes back to the same degree, same minute, same second. You make a new annual chart again. So this technique is actually a very good technique. And honestly, 7 years back, in the 7 years before the last 7 years, this was my staple technique, like Tithi Pravesh is now. I made a lot of successful predictions using this technique. More than Vimshottari Dasha and other Dashas, I used to make predictions using the annual chart. And this chart is also known as Varshafal chart. Varshafal literally means results of the year. So it doesn't have to be Tajika, but traditionally it has come to be known as Varshafal chart. So I used to do Tajika annual Varshafal charts and make predictions, and I was quite happy. But after Sanjayji taught me Tithi Pravesha, I basically started using that, and I found that more accurate than this. If this is 70%, that is like 85%. So I am more happy with the Tithi Pravesh chart, and I don't even look at this chart now, Tajika chart. I basically look at Tithi Pravesha. But the bottom line is, this is also a very good technique. And there is a Dasha that goes along with it. There are some yogas that go along with it. So we will probably do Tajika astrology a little later. But I want to give the gist. The gist is, you make a chart when sun comes back to his natal position. And then there is a point known as Munta. This is a very, very important point. This Munta is basically, it is cast like this. It's called annual progress ascendant. The word Dr. Raman used was annual progress ascendant. And he called it Munta. Even Nilakantha called it Munta. Actually he called it Muntaha. So, M-U-N-T-H-A. So that this Munta, the way it is computed is in the first year's annual chart. When the baby is born, if you make an annual chart for the same year, it is obviously the birth chart itself. In that chart, Munta is at the same place where Lagna is. In the next year, it is in the second house. If somebody, for example, I am born with Virgo Lagna. So in my first year, Munta will be in Virgo. Second year, it will be in Libra. Third year's annual chart, when I make the annual chart of the third year, it will be in Scorpio, and so on. So if you want to see my current year, 2005, how old am I now? I was born in 1970. 2005, I finished 35 years. So I am running my 36th year. No. I'm running my 36th year. Not the year finished, but the year that I am running. So this is the 36th house. If you remove multiples of 12, you remove 24 from it, you get 12. So this is the 12th house. So Muntha of this year will be in Leo. That's what the software shows. So can you and what Tajika teachers taught is, you take that Muntha as a reference and see how planets are, apart from the Lagna. So that is nothing but, can you see that this Muntha is nothing but the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa sign. If you find the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, I told you that the first year, in the first year of the native's life, the Dasha running is that of first house. The second year, the Dasha running is that of second house. The third year, the Dasha running is that of third house, and so on. So that's what I told you. So if you find that house, of course, when I say first house, it is from Lagna, Moon and Sun. We talked about the Sudarshana Chakra, where you make the Lagna Chakra, Chandra Chakra and Surya Chakra. So when I talk about a particular house, that house will have three aspects to it. So when you take the second house, for example, in my natal chart, the second house we saw was Libra in the Lagna Chakra, Pisces in Chandra Chakra, and Aries in Surya Chakra, right? So there are three signs that comprise the second house. If you ignore Chandra Chakra and Surya Chakra and just take the Lagna Chakra and take the sign whose Dasha is running right now, that is nothing but this Muntha of the Tajika people, of the Tajika astrology. Is that clear? So the bottom line is, even though Tajika astrology is supposed to be from Tajikistan and other areas, it is very likely that it is based on Sudarshana Chakra Dasha. It is basically a more advanced exposition of the Sudarshana Chakra Dasha, how do you get the Sudarshana Chakra Dasha, but also corrupted because they are using only Lagna. They are finding Muntha only from Lagna, not from Chandra and Surya. So it may be a corrupted but expanded version of the Sudarshana Chakra Dasha. So we will come back from the Tajika to Sudarshana Chakra Dasha now. So the Sudarshana Chakra Dasha in the first year is that of first house, second year it is that of second house, and like that after 12 years the 12 houses will give their Dashas, and then again the first house Dasha will come. So like this is a Dasha which has a cycle of 12 years. Every 12 years the same Dasha keeps coming. And now when it comes to Antar Dasha, there is a little bit of controversy. The Antar Dasha, what some people do is, they take from the Dasha sign itself. Suppose right now the Dasha of the third house is running. And let us say, for simplicity, let us ignore the Chandra Chakra and Surya Chakra. Let us stick to Lagna Chakra. And let's say the third house in the Lagna Chakra is Scorpio. So right now Scorpio Dasha is running, let us say. Okay? So when you see the Antar Dashas in that Dasha, the Antar Dashas, some people start from Scorpio itself and then take the 12 sign. But what I do and what Parasara taught according to me is not from the Dasha sign but from the Dasha Lord. The natal chart, see where the Lord of the Dasha sign is, take that sign, start from there and cover the 12 signs. So it becomes a little tricky because we have to repeat this in the Lagna Chakra, Chandra Chakra and Surya Chakra and then combine all those. So let us do a couple of examples, then it will become clear. Okay? Let us say, actually it is available in the software. If you go to Dashas tab, go to other Dashas and select Sudarshana Chakra Dasha. This is what the software gives. So from 1970 April to 1971 April, the Dasha of Virgo, Aquarius and Pisces was running. So when I mention the Dasha, the software gives three signs here, as you can see. And here it gives in the brackets, Lagna, Moon, Sun. So the notation is Lagna first, then Moon, and then Sun. So it was Virgo Dasha as per Lagna Chakra, Aquarius Dasha as per Chandra Chakra, and Pisces Dasha as per Surya Chakra. Why? Because Lagna is in Virgo, Moon is in Aquarius, Sun is in Pisces. So if you take the first house from the three references, it will be Virgo, it will be Aquarius, and it will be Pisces. So the first Dasha was that of Virgo, Aquarius, Pisces. The combination of the three signs. So that is the first Dasha. What is the second Dasha? In the second year, 71 to 72, that Dasha is that of Libra, Pisces, Aries, because Libra is the second house from Lagna, Pisces is the second house from Chandra, Aries is the second house from Surya. So you take the second house from Lagna, Chandra and Surya, and those signs together will give the second Dasha. Third Dasha is again Scorpio, Aries and Taurus. So like this you can find Dasha during the first 12 years. What happens after 12 years? You can click this to get again the same Dashas will repeat. So No. I'll come to that. So if you see, if you take for example 94 April 4, the 25th year started in my life then. So I was running Virgo Aquarius Pisces Dasha. If you go 12 years back in 1982, I had exactly the same Dasha. If you go back to 1970 when I was born in my first year, I had exactly the same Dasha. So the same Dashas keep repeating every 12 years. So naturally, do you expect that the same events repeat in the life of the native every 12 years? Not exactly. There may be some similarities, but not exactly. 12 years back, you may have very bad time, but now you may have excellent time. The Dashas don't have to, the life doesn't have to have a repeating cycle. That is why I said, Parasara did not say, judge these Dashas from the natal chart. He said, compute these Dashas from the natal chart and judge it using he said, the planetary positions at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the 2.5 day period. So what you do is, you make the Dasha Pravesha Chakra. See how planets are placed with respect to these three signs when the Dasha starts. Let me take the example. Let's take 87, when I had academic distinctions, etc. If you take 87 chart, if you make entry chart of this period, just like you do with other Dashas, make the entry chart. So which Dasha was running then? Aquarius, Cancer, Leo. From the Lagna Chakra, Aquarius Dasha was running. From Chandra Chakra, Cancer Dasha was running. From Surya Chakra, Leo Dasha was running. Okay? So if you want to, now I have to, before I cover how to finish this example, I have to tell you how to judge this. So Parasara, like I said at the beginning of this class, this is a technique that is based on simple thumb rules. You don't have to bake your brain basically, like in other techniques. You just go by some thumb rules and do some objective analysis and give some reading. So that is why Parasara said this technique and Ashtakavarga, those two techniques are suitable for the intellectual techniques of Kali Yuga. So I will give you the thumb rules that Parasara taught. The thumb rules are, if a planet is a natural benefit, being in a quadrant or a trine or the 8th house is good from the Dasha sign. So you take the Dasha sign and see where the planet is from the Dasha sign in the Dasha Pravesha Chakra. Which house is the planet occupying from the sign? If it is in quadrants or trines or 8th house, it is good for benefit. But if the benefit is in the 3rd house or 6th house, it is bad. 3rd and 6th are bad. Quadrants, trines and 8 are good. Now for malefics, he said, all other houses are bad, but 3, 6 and 11 are good. For malefics, 3, 6 and 11 are good. Okay? And he said that 11th house is actually good for all planets, not just malefics. So even for benefics, 11th is good. 11th is auspicious for all planets. Now, even though Parasara only gave that thumb rule, we can distinguish further. If a benefic is in a quadrant, what you can conclude is there will be a lot of effort that the person can put in. He will have opportunities so that he can put in effort and get results. So that is what a benefic quadrant placement will show. Then a benefic trine placement will show what? Can you get? Just pressing. Things happen very easily without much effort. He doesn't have to put a lot of effort. That's what benefics and trines will show. And if the benefic is in 8th house, what will it show? What is 8th house? Tensions, sudden things, unexpected things, etc. If a benefic is influencing it, what would you expect? Suddenly you weren't even planning to do something. Suddenly something worked out and it happened. You weren't looking for a job change. You met somebody on the street, and then while talking you found out about each other and he said, will you come and work for me? I'll double your salary. So that is benefit in the 8th. So something that happens suddenly without any trial or anything, you did not expect it. It actually positive, because it is benefit. Whereas, I'll come to the malefics later, but I'm talking about benefits now. If benefit is in quadrant, you will have opportunity to put in a lot of effort and get results. If the benefic is in a trine, you want something and you will, whatever you want you will get without much effort. If benefic is in 8th house, you don't want something but it will happen. Suddenly, unexpectedly happen. If benefic is, if any planet is in the 11th house, they will only give gain relating to their nature. Now, malefic, if they are in the 3rd house, they will give you lot of initiative to do things. You will have that fire within you which will make you go. And if you have malefics in the 6th house, they will give you the energy to work hard and overcome problems. If a malefic is in the 11th house, by hook or crook you get what you want. So, any planet in the 11th house, whatever that planet promises in the natal chart will be fulfilled. Okay? Now, if a malefic is in the 8th house, what would you expect? Sudden reversal. You were thinking everything was going fine. I'm going to get that offer. They said they are going to make me an offer. Everybody was so excited with me. They were all excited. But suddenly, that position disappears. That whole group is laid off. So that position disappears. You thought you almost got the opportunity, but suddenly they told you, sorry, the group is no longer in business. We met with so-and-so company, so we laid off that whole group. Something like that. So something that you did not expect comes like a thunder from the sky. Suddenly it comes and hits you. That kind of things are given by malefics in the 8th house. From that happens. Now, even though Parasara said, look at the Lagna, Chandra and Surya, all of them are important, we have to realize that they are not the same. Lagna, Moon and Sun, all the three are important. That's what Parasara said. You can't take only one. But we have to realize that they are all not the same. Each is different. So, we have to distinguish between how we use each of those differences. Okay? Can anybody throw any thoughts? How would you use Lagna? How would you use Moon? How would you use Sun?
Body, mind and soul.
Body, mind and soul, right? That is a good distinction. Pardon me? Okay, let us say now we are, that is Sanjayji's rule for Vishwatri Datta. Let us say in this Dasha we are going to use all the three. But we want to see slightly different aspects from all the three. Lagna shows, like I said earlier, long back, what is Moon and Lagna? Moon and Lagna, Sun is the soul which is within you and watching everything. And Lagna and Moon are, Moon is that through which you perceive the world, Lagna is that through which you influence the world. Right? That is the distinction between Lagna and Moon. Moon is the mind. You see the world through it. So Moon, the Chandra Chakra or the Chakra based on Moon will show how you are reacting to the world, how you are thinking the world, how you are perceiving the world, how you are thinking, what your thinking process is, what's happening in your mind. So if you want to see how the person reacts to something that's happening in his life, something that's happening around him, how he is reacting, how he is taking it, what are his perceptions, what are his feelings, what are his emotions. If you want to understand all those aspects, which chakra is more important? Chandra Chakra is the most important. If you want to see how the person is acting in the society, what kind of actions he is doing, what kind of influence he has on various people, what kind of activities he is engaging in, how he is exercising his intelligence. So if you want to see all those proactive things, Lagna Chakra is the most important. So if you see what the person is doing, use Lagna Chakra. To see what the person is feeling, use the Chandra Chakra. And what is Surya then? What is soul? It is something, it is that which is not bothered about the next second or next minute or next hour. Body is bothered about the next minute. Oh, it aches here. I hope nothing happens in the next minute. Body is so bothered about the short term. Mind is so bothered about the medium term. But soul is never that worried about the short term and medium term. It is worried about long term. So even if you are using soul, when you see the Pratyanta Dasa, Antardasa, Mahadasa, at whatever level you are using the soul, soul is always looking ahead. So it is that which has a long term agenda based on why you came into this world. And it is the soul which is creating opportunities from the rest of the souls in the world so that you do what you came for. So the Surya Chakra is important to see what your long-term goals are and what is happening in your life right now and what is its impact on the long term. So something may happen today it has a great impact on your long-term purpose of soul. Your soul, some of you may have come here because you are destined to do something for Jyotish. So you may have come and learned something very important. For example, one of you may become Sudarshana Chakra Dasa expert, let us say. One of you may be destined, he may have worked on Sudarshana Chakra Dasa for 5 lives. And this class, even though this is just 1 hour, this 1 hour may rekindle everything in you. And then after this, you may spend a few years on Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, and you may unearth some secrets, and then you may spread them. That may be your destiny. That may be what your soul has been longing for all this throughout this year when you were learning astrology. When Narasimha will start Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, because your soul knows that is what triggers your karma. Suppose, hypothetical example. So, if you look at the Pratyantar Dasha or even lower level period that is running right now, when you see the Surya Chakra, you will see something very auspicious. Because during this period, something is happening which is very auspicious from the point of view of your soul. So, Lagna Chakra is what you do, Chandra Chakra is what you feel, Surya Chakra is how you are getting your groove in life. How you are, and also Sun shows the whole world. Moon is only your mind, but Sun is the whole world. And he shows the Vishwatma. Sun is the Charkaraka. If you take the Atmakaraka, Charkaraka who is your Eke, Atmakaraka, he is your individual soul. But Sun is the universal soul which is also is the distinction between the universal soul and individual soul a little bit understood, or are you still confused? If you are confused, you should think about it. Basically, if you think about it, bottom line is there is no separate me. I am part of the whole supreme soul of the universe. And when I am talking about the supreme soul, it is not Sun. When I am talking about the supreme soul of this universe, I am not talking about Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. I am not talking about Shiva. I am not talking about Parvati. I am not talking about Narayana. They are all different manifestations of the supreme soul. But the supreme soul is Parabrahma. Some people may call him Narayana, some people may call him Sadashiva, some people may call him Parabrahma, some people may call him Virat Rupa. There may be so many, some people may just call him Amrutamaya. There may be so many names that different people give. But that supreme soul which fills the whole universe at time minus infinity, and which fills the whole universe even now, that supreme soul is beyond astrology's terms. That supreme soul is not Sun. But who is Sun then? What Yoga Shastra and Tantra teaches is, we all distinguish ourselves from the supreme soul because of the Maya. The Divine Mother, her Maya makes all of us think of ourselves as different beings from the supreme soul of the universe. So that Maya is what separates us. And that Maya, obviously if it separates us, there should be some concept of this is me. So there are 3 such concepts that are given in Yoga Shastra. There are 3 lingas within each person. Linga literally means a symbol of being, a token of existence. So those 3 tokens, they are called Swayambhu Linga, Bana Linga, and third one is, anybody knows? Itara Linga. If you look at Tantra, Yoga, etc., these 3 lingas are talked about. There are 3 lingas. Also in many Puranas they are talked about. There are 3 lingas within each being. In the Mooladhara Chakra, at the base of the spine, in the middle of the Mooladhara Chakra, there is a Swayambhu Linga. And it is depicted in classics that Kundalini Shakti is basically depicted as coiling around that linga and sleeping. And then there is a second linga which is in the heart, near the heart, which is in the Anahata Chakra. It's called Bana Linga. And the third linga is depicted as being in the Agnya Chakra, in the forehead basically, in the third eye area. So in the Agnya Chakra there is a third linga which is called Itara Linga. Itara means other, Itara Linga. And the way they describe in Tantra is, in Yoga Shastra is, when Kundalini Shakti, she wakes up, she starts rising. She starts rising from the Swayambhu Linga. First she has a Sangama with the Swayambhu Linga. After that she progresses further. And then that Shakti has a union with the Banalinga in the Anahata Chakra. And the next Majli, or the next, what is the good English word? Okay. Yeah, the next target, let's say. The next target for the Kundalini Chakra is Banalinga. After having a union with the Banalinga, finally she has a union with Uttaralinga in the Ajna Chakra. And after that, when the Kundalini Shakti has a union with Sadashiva, who is in the Sahasrara Chakra, the person doesn't have any ego. The person doesn't see himself or herself as a different being. But during these three levels, he or she still thinks himself or herself as a separate being. And the thing that you have to understand here is, Kundalini Shakti is nothing but your ego. It's a manifestation of your ego. It's a manifestation of your concept that I am different. And that ego is basically, when they depict that Kundalini Shakti as coiling around the Swayambhulinga, what that means is, Swayambhulinga is one token of self-existence. It is one symbol of ego. These three lingas are nothing but three symbols of ego. One, and this is not really from any classic, this is just from my intuition, but the token of self that is in the Swayambhu Linga or in the Muladhara Chakra is basically your Lagna or Lagna Lord. It has to do with your Lagna or Paka Lagna. So that is, when we think of ourselves, most people are identifying ourselves with that, with this body, with this. Lagna is not just body, I mentioned it earlier also. Lagna is more than body, but it is a very gross level existence of you. When people say Narasimha, when they put my photo and say a very bad person, and I feel bad. Because I associate myself with that photo. Somebody may not even put my photo, they may just say Narasimha PVR Rao is an idiot, doesn't know anything, but he still teaches people. I may feel bad. Why do I feel bad? Because I think they are talking about me. They don't have a picture of me. They don't have my body there. But still, when they talk about Narasimha PVR Rao, the astrologer is an idiot, I may feel bad about it. I feel hurt. My ego is hurt because my ego identifies with that Narasimha PVR Rao. You can't express what that Narasimha PVR Rao is. Is it this body? What is it? I can't express it. But I do know that this is Narasimha PVR Rao. Similarly, you know this is Srinivas Kovi. When somebody hurts that Srinivas Kovi, you feel hurt. So that thing is shown by Lagna, Pakalagna, etc. So in normal people who live in Bhuloka, whose ego has the samskaras of Bhuloka, which is of Muladhara Chakra, for them Kundalini Shakti is basically sleeping because that ego is not really alive, it is not really active, it is very sleepy. That is the normal state of Kundalini. And that Shakti coiling that linga basically means our ego identifies with that person. And when that ego starts losing that identification and rise above it, the next level is Bana Chakra, Banalinga in the Anahata Chakra. And my theory is, my intuition is that is the Chara Atmakarka, the individual Jivatma. So people who have Kundalini at the Anahata Chakra level, they know who their Atma is. They have seen their Atma. They may even remember a few things from the past. And they know what their Atma wants. They know the goals of their Atma. And they work to fulfill those goals. They clearly know this is what my Atma wants. So they don't waste their time. They fulfill those goals. And they lose identification with the body. Such a person, if you say something bad about him, he will not be hurt at all. He will not bother about it. So, the second linga is the second way of self-identification, which is in more spiritually advanced people, and that is with the Chara Atmakarka. And Chara Atmakarka is, in some classics also, he is described as being in the heart, basically, and that is consistent with the Banalinga being in the Anahata Chakra, according to the Tantra. And the third, when you lose that identification also, when you move beyond the Jivatma, finally you come to the Itara-linga. Itara means other. So this is a way of self-identification which includes others also. So you start looking at various people. Me, Srinivas, Seshu, all these are the same to me. And I start seeing the Vishwatma, which is Sun. So while Chara Atmakarka is the individual Jivatma, who lives in the Anahata Chakra, Sun is the Vishwatma of the whole universe who lives in the Ajna Chakra. So when Kundalini has a Sangama with the Ajna Chakra, what that means is your ego, your sense of this is me, that sense the energy of that sense, the energy of the self, that ego, is basically identifying with that Vishwatma, which sun. And finally, when you lose that identification also, when you stop seeing the Vishwatma also, then for you there is nothing. Then the Kundalini merges with the Sadashiva, and then that is the state of nothing. So anyway, coming back to the normal astrology, so coming back,
So people who lose their ego, the planets don't affect them anymore.
they may not affect them anymore. They may still affect them anymore. They may still, but whatever they do, they are not incurring any additional karma. It may seem to you like they are doing something bad. They may hurt, they may kill somebody, but they are not affected as karma. But until you reach that level, even if you are a great saint, in the first few years of your life, first 10 or 15 or 25 or 30 or 40 or 70 or 150, first those many years of your life, you are accumulating new karma. And all karmas have to be finally burned. Otherwise, you can't get moksha. So you will reach that state only when you have finished living through all the karmas that you accumulated through various lives.
So the not yogis, when they kill somebody, it's in the Mela, just swim in the Ganga, don't get any karma
if they are really fully self-enlightened, definitely they will not incur any karma. A fully self-enlightened person does something only because that is the divine will. Okay, now coming back to astrology, so the lesson is, when we talk about sun and Charatmakarka, both are Atmakarka, both show the soul, both show the Atma. But there is a difference between the Vishwatma sun and the Jivatma, which is Charatmakarka. The place where they live is different. One is Ajna Chakra, one is Anahata Chakra. The roles are different, and it is a little tough to understand. It is actually not little, it is very tough to understand. So I just want to give a few ideas, and then this is something that cannot be taught, or it can be communicated only by an enlightened yogi. Only an enlightened yogi can directly communicate to you through not words. There are certain things that cannot be communicated using words. They can only be communicated to the right people, not using words, but using just thoughts. That is the beauty of certain high-level knowledge, high-level spiritual knowledge. So I can't really tell you, but I don't claim that I understand fully also. I have some understanding. I just want to make you think, so that if the right time comes, if the right situation develops, you will understand. But the bottom line is, sun and Chara Atmakarka are totally different. Chara Atmakarka is just your Jivatma, which has separated from the Supreme Soul, and sun is the Vishwatma. It is the cumulative of various Atmas in the universe. So Surya Lagna is also important when you are looking at how various souls are cooperating with your soul. So if there is something that you are destined to do, what kind of cooperation you are getting from the whole universe. So this also shows, if you are looking at, if you take a great saint for example, he wants to build an ashram and start doing certain activities there. And a lot of people come together. You are talking about something that his soul desires. Something that is happening because of a lot of souls cooperating. So sun is very important. When you look at that particular year, when he started doing something important, when somebody started an organization or something, Surya is very important. When you similarly, if you take a political leader, he wins an election in a country having billion people, he becomes the prime minister or president of that country. Again, he is getting cooperation from so many souls to do something that his soul desires. Just because something is desired by a soul doesn't mean it is good or bad. There may be a particular soul that desires to kill 100 people. There may be a particular soul that desires to kill billion people. Still, that is the God's will. That is the will of the Divine Mother. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa talked about Maya. He talked about, before you become fully enlightened, you have to go through Maya. He said that this whole world is Maya. And he distinguished between two kinds of Maya. He talked about Avidya Maya and Vidya Maya. There are two kinds of Maya. All Maya is created by the Divine Mother, by Mother Lalita. But she has various forms. There are so many yoginis, so many devatas that she assumes the form of and engages in various activities and promotes various activities. Some of them may seem terrible to you, and some of them may seem good to you. But everything is eventually Maya. If you want to be fully enlightened, you have to overcome everything. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa talked about avidya Maya, which is illusion, and it is avidya. Avidya means absence of education. So it is basically ignorant illusion. So for example, you engage in drinking and engage in sex, engage in various other activities. All that is avidya Maya. Similarly, I give a discourse about Jyotish, signing the second house, this result, this. This is also Maya. He called it Vidya Maya. He called it learned illusion. So there are two kinds of illusion. Ignorant illusion and learned illusion. But eventually, if you want to be self-realized, if you want to go back to the Supreme Soul, all this is the mother's attempt to keep you from the Supreme Soul. This is a layer created by the mother which separates you from the Supreme Soul. Whether it is ignorance or wisdom, both are Maya. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa taught that you have to overcome both the Mayas eventually. But first overcome the Avidya Maya. If you want to live in one Maya, better to live in the Vidya Maya. Because from there, overcoming the Maya at all completely is easier. If you are in Avidya Maya, overcoming it is difficult. Of course, there are some techniques where you completely absorb yourself in the Avidya Maya and then to the extreme there you reach moksha. That is also possible, but those are not for everybody. I would not recommend them at all. So first we have to, we think that this is pious lifestyle. You do puja every day, you do meditation every day for a couple of hours, you do this. Eventually one has to overcome all these also. But there is a difference between them. But bottom line is both are Maya. So coming back to the politician example, somebody may be destined to kill million people. It may look bad to you, but that is mother's will. Because mother is Avidya Maya as well as Vidya Maya. She is taking all these various forms. So the concept of good and bad is in our mind. Mind is basically created by mother. So concept of good and bad is a creation of the divine mother. If you overcome the Maya, there is no good, no bad. You can't say this is good, this is bad, this is worse, this is best, like that. There are no grades. From the point of view of Paramatma, there is nothing that is good or bad. It is all in the creation of the divine mother. There is a purpose for which she created this world in this way. And she balances good and bad. She creates good, she creates bad. She is the one who is promoting all the bad in the world. She is the one who is promoting all the good in the world. And she is the one who is promoting the balance. And she is the one who makes you do good, so that balance has to be there. And she is the one who makes somebody do bad, so that balance has to be there. And she is also the one who makes some people who have seen both and who want to be beyond these. She is the one who basically removes that veil so that those people can become liberated. She is the one who does everything. So now coming back to the example, when we talk about Surya Lagna, I said that it is Vishwatma and it shows how various souls cooperate with you. So this is basically the opportunity that you are getting in the society. That is basically the cooperation of various souls. So if your boss is unhappy with you and he blocks a promotion, or you don't deserve something but you are given a promotion, all those things you should be able to see from Surya Lagna, from the Vishwatma. And if a political leader is elected, or he is a good person but other people don't like him, the time hasn't come for him to do his work. So he may have good intentions to improve the country, but he may not get an opportunity. So again you see that from Surya Lagna. So various opportunities that you get, various things that are happening which have a relevance to the agenda of your soul for the entire life. Those kind of things you see from the Surya Chakra. And whatever is happening, how you react to it, you see from how you feel, how you perceive it, is from Chandra Lagna. And what you are trying, what you are proactively trying to do is from Lagna. So this is how you use the three chakras, Lagna Chakra, Surya Chakra and Chandra Chakra. Okay? So let us try to see a couple of examples. So let us see the Rashi chart. So we are looking at 1987-88 Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. The data is April 4, 1970, 17:47:13 Indian Standard Time, Machilipatnam, India, 81 East 12, 16 North 15. So in this chart we are looking at Sudarshana Chakra Dasa that was running in May 1987. And from 1987 April 5, Aquarius, Cancer, Leo Dasha is given. Aquarius Dasha as per Lagna Chakra, Cancer Dasha as per Chandra Chakra, Leo Dasha as per Surya Chakra. So let us see how various of those are. Okay. First let us see Surya. Let us come from top level to the lowest level. So Surya Chakra, Leo. Take Leo as Lagna. If you take Leo as Lagna, how are various planets? Which are showing good events and which are showing bad events. By the way, one thing here, Parashara taught that Sun, if he is exalted or if he is in a friend's house, is a benefit in this particular case. I talked about benefic planets and malefic planets and gave this. He said Sun, when he is in a friendly house or exalted, is a benefit, and when he is in a malefic, when he is in an inimical house, he is a malefic. That is what he taught about Sun. And for other planets, he did not modify. So whatever he taught earlier, he used the same method. But for Sun, he made a difference. So overall, now remember that we are using only Rashi charts here. Rashi shows the physical domain. So that's what we are looking at. And I will, after this example, I will answer your question on whether you can use divisional charts, etc. So if you see this chart, from Leo, how are various planets placed? Let us just count planets that are good and bad. So Ketu, is it well placed or badly placed? Malefic in the second house, good or bad? Bad. So one bad. I will use bad in the left hand and good in the right hand. Hopefully numbers will be less than 5. Otherwise I will transfer. One of you will be carrying. So now score is left hand 1. Then next planet, Saturn, 4th house, good or bad? 2 bad planets. Then Venus and Mercury in the 7th house, good or bad? 2 good planets. So score is 2 good, 2 bad. Jupiter, Sun and Rahu in the 8th house. Is Jupiter good there? 8th house, benefic good. Sun, is he good there? Is he benefic or malefic? He is in friend's house. So he is a benefic here. So score increases by 2, so it becomes 4. 4 good. Now Rahu in the 8, good or bad? Bad. So 3 versus 4. Now Mars in the 10th house, good or bad? Bad. So 4 good, 4 bad. Now tiebreaker, Moon, good or bad? He is in the 11th house. So he is score of 5. So overall this year has a score of 5. So this is in the physical domain. Score of 5 positive and 4 negative. So overall score is it a good year or a bad year? Pardon me? Why not a good year? Nothing significant. This is from Sun. So from the point of view of getting opportunities to do what the soul wants to do, this is basically a slightly good year, a moderately good year. Now let us see Moon. Yeah, that is Sun. That is the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa sign based on Surya Chakra, Lagna, Moon and Sun. Let us see why. 87. How many years did I finish? I was born in 70. So I finished 17 years and the 18th year was running. Right? The 18th year was running. So it was basically 18th house. If nth year is running, nth house Dasha will be running. So 18th house means remote world, 6th house. So you should take the 6th house. If you use Lagna Chakra, it is Aquarius. If you use Chandra Chakra, it is Cancer, that is the 6th house. If you use Surya Chakra, the 6th house from Sun is Leo. So it is Leo Dasha. Right? Okay. Now, let us use Moon. How I feel. This is what is happening, what kind of opportunities I am being given to fulfill the agenda of my soul. And to see how I feel, use Cancer. So if you see Cancer, how many planets are good and how many planets are bad? Let us count that. So again, let us start from there and go zodiacally. Ketu, good or bad? Malefic in the 3rd, good. Saturn, good or bad? Why? 5th house. Malefic. 5th house, not 6th. Bad. 1 good, 1 bad. Ketu good, Shani bad. What? Yeah, from Moon. And Moon is Cancer. Natal Moon is in Aquarius, but the Dasha is Cancer. Based on Chandra Chakra, the Dasha during that year is Cancer. So from Cancer, Ketu is good, Shani is bad. So 1 versus 1. Then Venus and Mercury in the 8th house. Good or bad? Good. Something suddenly happening good. 2. 2 good. Because I am talking about Venus suddenly left became good. Venus and Mercury. So 3 versus 1. Jupiter, Sun and Rahu. 2 good, 1 bad. Right? Rahu bad, Sun and Jupiter good. Now Mars in 11th. Mars in 11th is good. This. So 6. Okay, thanks. 7 is my carry. So 1 and 1. That is just 1. Yeah. So 6 versus 2. Finally Moon. Is Moon good or bad? 12th house. 12th house Parasara did not explicitly say is bad, but let's consider it as bad. So he saw, actually it may be argued that it is neutral, but let us consider it as bad. So yeah, I have enough good, so I can compromise. So it is 6 versus 3. So mentally, in the physical domain, do I feel great this year or do I feel bad? I feel very good. I feel excited during this year. Okay?
And last one something. I'm still fighting why you took the Libra
Cancer.
as a reference in the first one and Cancer here.
Yeah.
Cancer is because you have the rule.
So I'm looking at which dasha I am running in 87.
87.
It is Aquarius, Cancer and Leo.
Right.
So like I said in Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, this is a little tricky, but you have dasha of 3 signs running at the same time. One based on the Lagna Chakra, one based on Chandra Chakra, one based on Surya Chakra. So you take each of them as reference and judge how things are. And one will tell you how I feel, one will tell you what kind of things I do in the world, how I act, one will tell you what kind of opportunities I am getting from the point of view of my long-term life course. Okay? So to see my long-term life course, what kind of opportunities I am getting, etc., I take the Surya Lagna. To see how I feel, how I perceive what is happening around me, I take the Chandra Lagna. Okay, is it understood?
No, what was the difference of Leo? That's what I mean here.
Leo is here, see? In 87 Aquarius, Cancer, Leo Dasha was running. So it was Leo Dasha based on Sun Chakra. It is Cancer Dasha based on Moon Chakra. It is Aquarius Dasha based on Lagna Chakra.
The location of the sun, the moon and the ascendant.
Okay? So in other words, instead of giving A, Q, C and L, software could have just given 6 also. First, second, third, fifth, 6. So you take 6 from the natal sun, you get Leo. You take 6 from the natal moon, you get Cancer. You take 6 from the natal Lagna, you get Aquarius. Okay. Now, Lagna shows how I do, how I act. So using the Lagna Chakra, how are things? First, Lagna, first house has Venus and Mercury. It is Aquarius Dasha, right? From Lagna Chakra, the Dasha during that year is Aquarius. So Aquarius has Venus and Mercury. So that is positive score of 2. Second house has Jupiter, Sun and Rahu. I didn't say second house is it good or bad for male sex. I only said third and sixth are good. What Parasara said is, 8th house is good for benefit and second house also he said is good for benefit. So actually for benefit there are so many houses that are good. So second house is good for benefits and bad for benefits. So you have 2 good benefits there, Jupiter and Sun. So score is 4 versus 1. Mars 4 versus 2. Moon, is he a benefit or malefic? We have to check that now. It is Shukla Saptami. So moon is a benefit. So moon is also positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 good and 2 bad so far. 5 good and 3 bad. 5 good and 4 bad. So the score, if you count, finally you will see that it is 5 versus 4. So from the point of view of my acting in my doing things in the society, my influencing other people, nothing really is the stand for. This is basically moderately good. But based on how I feel, it is quite good. It is 6 versus 3. So I feel quite good during the year. But I may not be doing great things. And I may not be getting great opportunities, but it's not bad at all. It's moderately good. So that is what we see from as far as the Rashi chart is concerned. Now the question is this only for Rashi chart or can you see divisional chart? That's the question. Parasara did not specifically either grant it or deny it. He did not say anything. He just said Lagna, Sun and Moon are differences. You take them. First house is first year, second house is second year, and so on. Now, if divisional charts are separate charts, if they can be analyzed as separate charts, then why can't we make the dashas in those charts? So, even though it is not explicitly mentioned anywhere, it is my view that you can take the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa in various divisional charts also, like you do Narayan Dasa, and see, just use the same rules that Parasara taught. And of course, when you use the divisional Dasa, when you take the Dasha Pravesha Chakra, use that particular divisional chart and see how planets are. So let us do that example. Go to options, change Rasi to T24 because this is relating to education. For me? Only for Lagna. If you want to see what I do, if you want to see what kind of opportunities I am getting from the society, etc., it doesn't change that much. Right? Yeah, it is still, there is some sensitivity, but at least you can use Sun and Moon. See how I feel in the field of education and what kind of opportunities I am getting in the field of education. So, based on D24, Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, now what I do is, let's go to D24 chart, Dhamsa. So, Lagna and Moon are together here. So, you can see that the Lagna Chakra and Chandra Chakra are basically identical. So, based on those two chakras, you get the same sign. So, luckily we have to do 2 analysis instead of 3 analysis. So, that is easier. So, the Dasha that was running in 87 is? These two? They are the same. I was just looking at Upagrahas here. I just put D24. I put normal planets in one and Upagrahas in other. Just in case I want to see any Upagraha. But forget it. If that disturbs you, I can just change to that standard view. Okay. So this is Rashi and T24. So if you see the entry chart of this period, the software automatically gives you T24. If you take T24 Sudarshana Chakra Dasa entry chart, because it knows that you want to look at this anyway. So now let us see this and how this year is. So if you want to take the Surya Lagna, we will come to how I feel later. But take Surya Lagna first. Okay? Based on the Surya Lagna, where is Surya Lagna? It is in Surya Lagna is in Aries. So if you take the Surya Lagna, how many planets are good, how many planets are bad? Saturn in first, bad. Jupiter in third, bad. Venus in fourth, good. So 1 versus 2. Rahu Ketu in the 6th, good. So how much is it? 3 versus 2? 3 versus 2. Sun, Moon and Mars in 8. Pardon me? Yeah, 2 good, 1 bad. Sun in a friendly house is a benefit. Moon in Shuklapaksha is a benefit. So 2 benefits in the 8th house, 1 malefic in the 8th house. So it's basically 2 versus 1. So overall score is 5 versus 3. 5 versus 3. And Mercury in the 12th, is it good or bad? No, it's actually neutral. Earlier I compromised because I already had a good score. Now I can't compromise. 12th house is, for malefics it is a bad house, for benefics it is a neutral house. So it's basically 5.5 versus 3.5. For me? Tiebreaker. Yeah. So, as far as getting opportunities relating to learning that my soul wants is concerned, this is basically a good year, but slightly better than moderately good year. Say above average good year. It's more than an okay year. Because in a okay year you have 4.5 versus 4.5. This is 5.5 versus 3.5. So this is an above average year. But look from Lagna and Moon. Lagna shows what I do and Moon shows how I feel relating to my education during that year. So take what is the Lagna to be taken for, what is the Dasha sign based on Lagna and Chandra? It is Scorpio. 6th house from natal Moon and Sun, natal Lagna is Scorpio because they are in Gemini. So taking Scorpio as Lagna, now let us count the planets. Moon, Sun and Mars, 2 versus 1. Moon and Sun are benefic and they are in Lagna, they are in the first house, which is good, we are trine and as well as quadrant. So 2 versus 1 and then Mercury in the 5th, good or bad? Good, benefic in the 5th, benefic in a trine. And then, so 3 versus 1, Saturn in 6th. 4 versus 1, Jupiter in 8th. 5 versus 1, is it? Yeah, 5 versus 1, Venus in 9th. 6 versus 1, Rahu and Ketu. 8 versus 1. So a score of 8 out of 9. 8 good planets and 1 bad planet. And that bad planet too, if you see, this is thumb rule. Now if you do more advanced analysis, Mars in the Lagna is the bad planet. Mars in own house is the bad planet here. So it's not, it is bad based on the thumb rule. But look at the yoga in the Dasha sign. If you take the first house, Scorpio, see Sun and Moon and Mars. So 3 are friendly planets. And they are the lords of first house, 9th house and 10th house. So there is a Raja Yoga between the first, 9th and 10th lords in the first house. So even though Mars is based on the thumb rules a bad planet, he is giving excellent yoga to the 9th and 10th lord. So can you conclude that during this year, as far as education is concerned, I am an excited man. Then as far as my mind is concerned, I'm so excited during this year. I'm so happy. So I feel like I conquered the world just by getting into IIT and just by getting state first in intermediate. During that whole year, I may be on cloud 9. That's basically what it shows. This particular Dasha, having a score of 8 out of 9, and also having a nice Raj Yoga in the Dasha sign, in the Dasha Pravesh Chakra, in D24, it shows that as far as education is concerned, it is an excellent year. As far as my mind is concerned. But am I getting the knowledge that my soul wants from the long-term point of view? I am, but not really that great from that point of view. It's not really a glorious year from that point of view. It is an above average year. Because from Sun, the score is only 5.5 versus 3.5. So it's an above average year. So I may get some knowledge that is needed by my soul to fulfill the agenda of this lifetime. So from that point of view, it's an above average year. But from the point of view of feeling happy, perceiving the world, the mental feelings, the mental images, this is a glorious year as far as learning is concerned. And also Lagna, from Lagna also the score is high. That means when after I go to IIT, how I do at IIT, how I study, how I apply my intelligence towards learning things that are thrown at me. From that point of view also I do very well. I adapt very well during that particular year to the new learning environment. D24 is nothing but learning environment. I adapt very well to the new learning environment and do well. And also I feel very happy. So that is what you can conclude. Okay? Now, let us see how to judge the Antardashas. So, the Antardashas are, like I said, if you click on this, you get the Antardashas. And the rule is, take the Dasha sign based on the 3 differences. Each you have to handle differently. Take the Dasha sign, see where the Lord is in the natal chart, and start from there. So, in this particular Siddhamsha Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, Scorpio and Aries are both lorded by Mars, and he is in Taurus. So, you can see that all the 3 are the same at the Antardasha level. So, when it comes to Antardasha level, Sun, Moon and Lagna, they are all having very similar meanings. So, when you are talking about big periods, there may be a lot of deviation between soul, mind, body, etc. But when you are talking about smaller periods, they are all basically going with the same flow. In any chart that you see, if not at the Antardasha level, when you go to the next level or next level, eventually there will be some convergence. So that makes our job easier. We just look at one thing. But still you have to see, you can give 3 different readings. One based on what kind of opportunities are coming. Second based on how the person is behaving. And the third based on how the person is feeling. So you can give 3 readings even though the sign is the same. But they will be similar readings. They will all be glorious or they will all be inglorious. So if I take, for example, this period, 87 July 7 to 87 August 7. This is the period when this is not the period when all the results came. This is not the period of academic distinction, but this is the period when I went to IIT and started the education. Went to a totally different place, different kinds of people, etc. So let us see how this period is, what kind of results you can expect. So make the entry chart of this period and take Leo as the reference and see how planets are. So Lagna has Mercury. Good or bad? Mercury good, Jupiter good or bad? Bad. Mars, Sun and Saturn good or bad? Sun is good, Mars and Saturn are bad. So score so far is 2 versus 3. Venus, 3 versus 3. Moon, 4 versus 3. Rahu, Ketu, 4 versus 5. So this is not a great year. So do I feel very happy, etc.? Once I go there, it feels a weird place. So in the first month, I had to adjust, etc. So when we saw the whole year was quite good. But within that month, the influence is slightly negative. So suddenly I start feeling, did I come to the right place, or should I go to that other IIT and taken some other branch, etc. So all those misgivings, and then the new environment, the new people, etc. And until then, I would always speak in Telugu. I was never fluent in English, and before I went to IIT. And now everybody speaks only English, so I have to get used to the new language, etc. So all these, and moreover in my case, I studied in Telugu medium until I was 15, until my 10th standard. I studied in Telugu medium. I didn't study in English medium. So a lot of, not only speaking fluent English, but even technical terms that you use in science, social studies, etc. They were basically new to me, but I basically managed those when I was in 11th and 12th grade, 12th standards, and I used to stay first, but though I was taking English medium, but still there was discomfort with the English language. So all those reasons basically make the first month or two basically not so fun. And you can see that this month is not really such a great month. And also from the point of view of learning things, what do you learn in the first month? Not really much. Whatever you already know in the previous grade, you are basically recapitulating those things in the first 2 months. Even if you go to IIT and not another engineering college, they are basically teaching you nothing in the first 1 month. So from the point of view of learning, I'm not really learning anything important or anything exciting. And also I am feeling a little uncomfortable because of the newness factor. Pardon me? Let us see what you see. Let us do that. But based on D24, what you see is learning environment, how I feel about the learning environment, how I am reacting in the learning environment, and what kind of opportunities I am getting in the learning environment. So it was strictly about the learning environment. And also the fact, the Rashi chart will show, it's not just learning environment, but it shows the overall physical existence. So I may still be excited that I went to IIT. At the physical level, I may be excited, I came to IIT. But when it comes to learning, I may be not so happy. So that if the Rashi chart is good, that is what you conclude. If the Rashi chart also is bad, you may conclude some other problems also. Yeah. Absolutely. So let us do that. So if you see the Antardasha as per Rashi Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, it was Cancer, Taurus, Gemini Dasha running at that time. So if you want to see the mind, how the mind is during this period, you have to use Taurus. Taurus has Lagna. So if you see Taurus Lagna, how are various planets? Mercury, Venus and Sun. Are they good or bad? Is Sun in friendly house or in middle house or a neutral house? Is Mercury a friend of Sun? Mercury is a friend of? No, not true. Let us see the friends of Mercury. Highlight Rashi relationships. permanent relationships of Mercury. Can you see the colors? Who are the friends of Mercury? Sun, Venus, Rahu, Ketu. Moon is an enemy. His father is an enemy of him. Jupiter, Mars and Saturn are neutral. So Mercury is not a friend of everybody. Now see, that is Mercury's relationship. See how Sun feels. What are Sun's relationships? Sun considers Moon, Mars and Jupiter as friends. Venus, Saturn, Rahu and Ketu as enemies. And Mercury he considers as neutral. So is Sun in a friendly house in this chart? Not really. He is in a neutral house. Because if Mercury is saying, Sun, come on, I like you, that's not important. If Sun feels like he is not in a friend's house, he is not in a friend's house. When you are talking about Sun's strength, and when we say whether Sun is in friend's house, we mean whether the person is considered as a friend by Sun. If I come to Seshu's house but I don't consider Seshu my friend, I am unhappy there. Seshu may be very happy that Sun came to my house, but I am not happy. So that is how it is here. Sun is in Mercury's house, Mercury is happy about it, but Sun is not that excited. So when Sun is not excited, he is a malefic. So one malefic, two benefits. Mercury and Venus are in the second house, and one malefic and two benefits. Mars in the third, good or bad? Good. So two malefics, two benefits. Three benefics, one malefic. 3 versus 1. Ketu in the fifth. What am I? What? Mercury and Venus are good. Sun and Mars are. Mars is also good, right? That is why I said 3 versus 1. 3 versus 1. Mars is good. Mercury, Venus are good. Sun is bad. So 3 versus 1. Now Ketu. Bad. 3 versus 2. Moon. Okay. 3 versus 3. Saturn. 3 versus 4. Rahu. Good. 4 versus 4. Jupiter. Neutral. 4.5 versus 4.5. So it's basically just okay. Just average. So as far as my mental impression is concerned of what is happening in my life, not relating to a particular environment like learning environment, spiritual environment, etc. But in general in life, how are things? From that point of view, it's a very average period. Whereas if you see a month back, it was a good period. But this month is not such a great month. Because this is a month of lot of adjustment to a new place, to a new state, to a new language. The language spoken outside the learning environment is different, Tamil, and the language spoken in the learning environment is English, and both are new languages to me from the point of view of speaking. So all that discomfort, but at the same time I was happy that I went to IIT. I was happy that my engineering education was starting. So you have various factors here. Let us see some other event. What event shall I see? Marriage, okay. Marriage, good idea. So my marriage was in 1993 August 1. So first let us see the Dasha. So first let us use, shall we use Navamsha or Rasi? Navamsha, good, thanks. So we'll use Navamsha. As per the Navamsha Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, the Dasha running at that time was Aries in the Lagna Chakra, Taurus in the Chandra Chakra, Sagittarius in the Surya Chakra. Okay. Now let us see how these are in the Dasha Pravesh Chakra. First let us see from the point of view of soul, from the point of view of what the soul wants, the opportunity given by the Vishwatma. So if I take Sagittarius as Lagna and see how planets are, how are various planets. Rahu and Sun are in the second house, good or bad? Too bad. Mercury is in the fifth house, good or bad? Good. So 1 versus 2, Jupiter bad, 1 versus 3, Mars good, so 2 versus 3, Ketu is okay. Shall we take Ketu as good or bad? Because we are talking about a thing relating to dharma, marriage, you may consider Ketu as a good planet. All these things are not explicitly said by Parasara, but based on various things he said in other places, and based on various things that Jaimini said, and based on various things that the tradition teaches us, we should use our intelligence to discriminate between things and make our rules. So I will consider Ketu as a benefit as far as marriage is concerned, as far as children are concerned, but not in other things. So I will consider Ketu as a good planet, and he is in the 8th house. So he may actually give a sudden marriage. And as a matter of fact, I wasn't sure if I was going to get married that year. It more or less happened quite suddenly. And that could be ascribed to Ketu in the 8th house. Anyway, so the score, I last count of score. Was it 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, 2 versus 3, 3 versus 3, 3 versus 3. And then moon in the 10th house. Good or bad? Good. So 4 versus 3, Saturn. 5 versus 3, Venus. In the 12th house. 5.5 versus 3.5 based on the thumb rules. 5.5 versus 3.5. So it's an above average year. So during this year, I may get an opportunity. The chance of getting an opportunity relating to dharma, relating to the dharmic environment that my soul desires is above average during that year. Now see how I feel. Yeah.
Beginning of the class, we actually took the example of
Yeah.
family marriage and
Yeah. Yeah. Did sun stand out in the 7th house? So we'll go back to the Rashi and then see what kind of role sun has. Okay? Good point. So, in the Navamsha, if you see the Navamsha, if you want to, we can actually, instead of going to the Rashi, which also we will do, let us see which planets stand out in the Navamsha. Okay? In the Navamsha, which planets stand out with respect to 7th house? First take Lagna. Who is the seventh lord? Mars and Ketu. There are 2 lords of the 7th house. So Mars and Ketu stand out. They are the 7th lords from Lagna. Right? And 7th house is aspected by nobody. Rahu is aspecting it. So Rahu is also standing out. I mean, he is also one of the factors. So Mars, Ketu, Rahu, these are the factors. Let us take Chandalagna. Who are standing out? Jupiter, Mars. They are standing out. There are other planets also, Venus and Moon, but these are really standing out. Let us take Sun now. So who are the planets from Sun that are standing out with respect to the 7th house? The 7th house from Sun. Who influence Cancer in the natal Navamsha? The Lord is Moon. There is no planet there. Is anybody aspecting it? Sun is aspecting it. So overall, Moon is standing out with respect to Sun. But if you take all the 3, Sun, Lagna and Moon, which planets are standing out? Mars. Mars is standing out. So Mars is an important planet. So in this particular chart, when you take from Sun, you expect Mars to stand out in the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. Because Mars is the key planet for giving marriage in this chart. He is in the 7th from Moon and he is the 7th Lord from Lagna. So is Mars well placed in this chart or not? If you judge from Sagittarius, he is in the 6th house. He is one of the good planets there. He is one of the planets. And not only that, but these are thumb rules, counting good and bad planets. But if you see the yoga, are there any good yogas from the Sagittarius? Yeah, Lagna Lord and 5th Lord, 4th Lord and 5th Lord, Jupiter and Mars are together. So they are giving a Raj Yoga. So there is a Raj Yoga given by Jupiter and Mars. And that Raj Yoga involves one of the key planets in the natal Navamsha. Okay? And Moon, who was the 7th Lord from Sun in the natal chart, he is well placed here. Ketu, who is the other 7th Lord from Lagna, he is well placed here. So various planets who are key planets in the natal Navamsha are well placed in this Navamsha as far as Sun is concerned. So you can conclude. So you should look at, I'm glad that you brought up this point, otherwise I would have left it. This is a very important point. Apart from counting scores, like a trader, counting 5.5 versus 3.5, 5 versus 4 like that. Apart from it, you have to see the quality also. It's not a pure democracy. Not all planets are equal. Some planets are more important than some other planets. If a particular planet is bad in this chart, in the natal chart, if he is bad in the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, Pravesha Chakra, it may not be after all so bad. So a bad planet in the natal chart is also not a key planet here. And if a good planet there is a good planet here, that may actually be good. So you should not just go by the rules. You should go by who are important in the chart and then see their strength. So that way, if you see, most of the key planets, Mars, Ketu and Moon are standing out. So for only Jupiter was the 7th lord from Moon, and he is not standing out. Even though he has a yoga, he is badly placed. So that is, he shows basically some sluggishness, etc. relating to getting married. So he is the only one who is badly placed. Other good planets are well placed. So that shows that there is a chance of getting married. But regarding the marriage, how do I feel? How do I feel about my dharmic life, my dharmic environment during that particular year? So if you want to see that, you should see from Taurus. Taurus is the progress moon. The Sudarshana Chakra Dasa sign based on Chandra Chakra. So if you take Taurus as Lagna and see how planets are, let us do that. Is Jupiter well placed? Yes. Is Mars well placed? No. No, Mars is badly placed. Why did you say Mars is well placed in first house? He is a male figure. 3rd, 6th and 11th are the good placements. Even in 2nd and 12th you may say neutral. You can go away with it, get away with it. But you definitely not in first house. He is bad. So 1 versus 1. Ketu. Good. 2 versus 1. Moon. 3 versus 1. Saturn. 4 versus 1. Venus. Right. Good point. Good point. So let's say that is bad. Very good point. So Ketu is bad. So it was 1 versus 2, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 2, 4 versus 2 with Venus, 4 versus 2 with Venus, then 4 versus 4 with these, and then Mercury. Mercury in the 12th house. So it's 4.5 versus 4.5. So from the point of view of mind, how I feel with respect to getting married during that year, dharmic life, etc. How do I feel? Am I excited about marriage or neutral? Okay, do you want me to get married? Okay, I'll get married, kind of.
Is that true?
Yeah. Don't tell my wife. Sorry? Now from Lagna. See from Lagna.
She has access to the audio?
Yeah, but I told her you have Jupiter in the 2nd house. I told my wife you have Jupiter in the 2nd house. If you learn astrology, you will learn well. Why don't you learn astrology? She just said, one astrologer in a family is enough. And then later my daughter and my son started learning and keep it. And then she said, definitely I don't have to learn now. 3 astrologers is more than enough. So anyway, looking at the Lagna, from the point of view of Lagna, if you see, where is the progress Lagna? It is in Aries. So how are various planets now? Mercury in first house, good or bad? Good. 1, Jupiter, good or bad? 2 versus 1, Mars, bad. 2 versus 1, I counted both when I said 2 versus 1. Ketu, good. 3 versus 1, Moon, bad. 3 versus 2, Saturn. 3 versus 3, Venus. 4 versus 3, good. 8th house. 4 versus 3, Sun and Rahu. Bad. So what is the score? 4 versus 5. So it's actually not a good year. So from the point of view of my doing dharma, the initiative that I take, the actions that I take, it's not such a good year. You can't expect me to take any good proactive decisions during that year. And of course, the decision of getting married was not mine. My father said, why don't you get married? And I said, I got married. Bottom line is, during that year, I will not do anything that is really outstanding. If I myself act in the society to do some dharma, to increase the dharma, to do some good activities, definitely this is not the year. It may happen in some other year, but definitely this is not the year. That is what you can say. And from looking at moon, you can say that during this year, I may get married, but I'm not too excited about it. And looking at sun, what you can conclude is there is an above average chance of something happening relating to marriage during this year. Okay. Let us see.
This is the May 5th, 2004.
May 5th? Yeah, sure. D24. And before I do that example, what I want to say is, when you look at the scores, if you see a particular divisional chart from either Lagna or Moon or Sun, if you see a particular thing really standing out, like getting a score of 6 or 7 or 8 or something, 6 or higher, you can think that there is going to be something important happening in that particular area of life during that particular year or month or 2.5 days. And then, if you see the important planets, out of all the good planets, find out the important planets who are also giving important yoga. See what they stand for in the natal chart. And then you can conclude that this year this may happen. So we saw that from Sun, from the point of view of opportunity, when we saw 5.5 versus 3.5 or whatever the score was, we should also look at those planets and see what is their agenda in the natal chart. And then you can conclude. So if you see, for example, the first example I gave was relating to my education. So we saw that there were several good planets, but there was a yoga given in Scorpio by Sun, Moon, Mars, right? You remember? The first Lord, 9th Lord and 10th Lord were giving a yoga in the Dasha sign. And there is another yoga. If Sun, Moon and Mars are in mutual trines, it's called Trilochana yoga. Trilochana means the three-eyed one. Who is he? Shiva. So that yoga is basically supposed to make one conqueror of enemies and destroyer basically. So that is a yoga. Trilochana yoga is a good yoga for victory, etc., for overcoming opposition. And the combination is Sun, Moon and Mars in mutual trines from each other. So here in the Dasha sign they are together giving Trilochana yoga. So there are various Rajogas and Trilochana yoga given by Sun, Moon and Lagna. So you can conclude that there will be something good happening relating to those areas. And if you see my D24, do you see anything common that Sun, Mars and Moon stand for? Is there any yoga given by the same planets in this natal chart? If so, relating to which house? Moon is in Lagna, showing generally name, fame, etc. But Sun and Moon are interesting. They are giving a Raj yoga. The 6th Lord Mars and the 3rd Lord Sun are in 6th and 12th houses. Two Dusthana Lords aspecting each other, also being in Dusthana. So is there a Viparita Raj yoga given by Sun and Mars in the D24? Yes. And also both the planets are associated with the 6th house. One is the 6th Lord, the other is the 6th house, planet in the 6th house. And they are giving a Raj yoga in the Dasha Pravesh Chakra of that particular year, Sudarshana Chakra Dasa. And that too, the same sign Scorpio is involved. So, based on all these factors, you can right away say that even if the count was actually, count is only it is for intellectual pygmies. If you believe that you are not an intellectual pygmy, you can do the next level analysis. So that is basically the starting point. It's a good starting point. But unless you see something really bad or really good, you can go to the next level. And if you see this, Sun, Mars and Scorpio are involved again. So something relating to 6th house. What do malefics associated with 6th house show? Killing people. I mean, not really literally, because this is learning environment. So this is basically overcoming opposition and doing better than rivals basically. So some kind of success in competition where you excel over others is possible during such a year. Right? Okay, now let us see 2004, right? Yeah, 2004. So did I make a mistake by starting astrology classes, or is it something that I should have done? So we will do that. May 6th, okay. So roughly 2004 May we started. So I will look at the annual chart first. So as far as the annual chart is concerned, if you look at the D24, okay, where should we start? I know. Then we'll come to the dharma later. First, see the learning environment. As far as my learning environment is concerned during that year, what kind of events can be expected? Okay, so look at the Lagna, from Surya Lagna, the opportunity to do your soul's agenda. As far as that is concerned, we should look at Surya Lagna. So we should look at Virgo. So take Virgo. as Lagna. So from Lagna, Virgo, see how various planets are. Is Jupiter well placed? Yes. Is Moon well placed? Yes. Are Sun, Rahu and Ketu well placed? Two of them are. Which one is badly placed? Sun, when he is in a inimical, in a friendly house, is a benefit. For a benefit to be in the third house is not so good. So Sun is inauspicious. Rahu, Ketu, strictly following Parasara's thumb rules. So Rahu, Ketu, Moon and Jupiter are good. So it is 4 versus 1 so far. And then Venus. 5 versus 1. Mercury. 5 versus 2. Shani and Mars in the 10th house. Bad. 5 versus 4. So this is a year. The year that finished in 2005 April. That particular year, as far as learning environment is concerned, from the point of view of getting long-term opportunity, it's basically just above average. Now let us see important planets who are good and see what is their role in the natal chart. Okay, if we do that, who are standing out here in this particular chart? Who are the important planets who are standing out? Yeah? Jupiter is in Lagna. Whenever you have Jupiter in a Lagna, Jupiter in a trine, Jupiter is a very powerful planet when it comes to learning. So Jupiter in Lagna is definitely one well-placed planet. Now who are the other planets? Moon in second is okay, not so great. Rahu and Ketu are in the third house. So they give lot of initiative basically, lot of fire to do something. So they are, Rahu and Ketu are very vital planets because they are also in a malefic sign. Scorpio is a malefic sign and those two malefics are in that sign. Ketu is especially in one house. So Ketu really stands out. So out of the planets who are beneficially placed, Jupiter and Ketu stand out. What about Venus in the 4th house? Does he stand out? Well, he is an important planet, but he is in an individual house. He is not really that strong. But Jupiter is in a Mercury sign. He is very strong. He is happy there. Ketu is in one sign. He is very happy there. And so I will pick out of the 5 good planets, Jupiter and Ketu as important planets. Can you kind of understand why? Now let us see what Jupiter and Ketu, what role they have in the natal chart. What is their role? From the Surya Lagna, they are basically involved with the 5th and 11th house. But Lagna and Chandra Lagna are together. So when Parasara said that 2 Lagnas are together, give lot of importance to that. Because those 2 energies are together, body and mind. So give importance to that Lagna. So from that Lagna, because when you make the 3 lists and find intersections, that particular list will be an intersection of 2 lists. So basically 2 lists are consolidated into 1 list. So that becomes an important list. So when you look at the 10th house from that Lagna, who is in the 10th house? Jupiter. And who is aspecting the 10th house? By Rashi Drishti, let us say. Rahu and Ketu. So 10th house purely has the influence of Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu. These are the planets who show my social activities relating to learning environment. So if I write books, if I engage in arguments on the list, if I talk to people on various techniques, if I share whatever little I find based on what my gurus taught me and what I imputed based on reading the books and meditating over them, if I share with various people on various Yahoo groups, if I teach in a class, if the audio is available to other people, all this is mainly because of Jupiter in the 10th house. Because that is my karma relating to learning, relating to the learning environment. So Jupiter, Rahu and Ketu, these are the planets who show my karma. So those planets are during this year well placed. One of them is giving lot of initiative and drive to do something relating to learning. And one of them is giving me, actually I shouldn't say he gives me drive. He places me in a situation where I have the opportunity to have a lot of drive. That is what I can say, because this is from Surya Lagna. From the progressed Surya Lagna, Ketu is in the 3rd house. So I can say that I will have the opportunity to have lot of drive, opportunity to show lot of initiative relating to Scorpio and relating to Ketu. Okay. Now to see how I feel and also how I act, you should take Aries. So if you see Aries as, if you take Aries as Lagna, who are well placed, who are badly placed? Shani, Mars are well placed, Jupiter is badly placed, Moon is well placed, right? Sun is well placed, Rahu, Ketu badly placed, Mercury well placed. So how many planets are well placed? 1, 2, Saturn, Mars, Moon, Sun, Mercury. So it is 5. So there are 5 planets out of 9 planets. So as far as my initiative, what I do, how I try to influence my learning environment is concerned, also this is a positive year. But when you are talking about when somebody is starting something that will stand for a long time, more than Lagna and Chandu Lagna, Surya Lagna is important. If, for example, somebody started a political party, let us say, or somebody started a spiritual organization, and you want to see how that is going to last, it is a good idea to look at the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa of that year. And then look at Surya Lagna more importantly, because Surya Lagna shows what your soul desires, what your soul has set out to do. And this Dasha's influence will show whether what is happening in that year is conducive to your soul's agenda or not, how conducive it is. So if you see that key planets in the natal chart have a role, they are verifically placed from the Surya Lagna, progress Surya Lagna, and if you see that there are good yogas given by those, you can conclude that that year, whatever that person starts, will be something very auspicious in the long run. On the other hand, if somebody may think that this is what I want to do, but that may not be what his soul wants to do. In that case, it will last for a few years and then it will go away. Whereas here the indications are that whatever audio I create, this will have some role to play. And definitely my soul has some desire which is resulting in this. This is not something without a basis. There is a basis in the desire of my soul. So whatever audio we are creating in this year and the coming couple of years or so will actually be beneficial to some people in the long run. And that way it will also be beneficial to my soul basically. So that is what you can conclude. So this is how you use this dasha. And my advice is you can look at Rashi, but Siddhanta is even more important. You have a confusion. Very good.
Regarding the soul and you're saying that somebody like this started as spiritual organization and
Yeah.
started political party or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you soul, you can suddenly
When I talk about sun, I'm not talking about my individual Jivatma. I'm talking about the Vishwatma. See, the cumulative of various souls in the world which want something from me.
and that is Satya and everything else, like starting with spiritual organization, starting with political party, everything is a Maya.
No, even that is Maya. What the whole world, various souls in the world want from me, that is also within the Maya. If you remove whole Maya, there is nothing there. I don't need to teach any astrology, I don't need to do anything. Of course, this is all Maya. So just because I'm talking about soul, it's not that some kind of great truth. This is Maya. This is also Maya, but this is Vidya Maya.
Yeah. So, shouldn't moon play more significant?
Why?
Moon is again, like moon is Maya.
But it is, see, everything is Maya, but we are talking about various levels of Maya. When I talk about sun, I'm talking about the Vishwatma, which is my soul, Sesha's soul. There are so many souls. All the souls together are represented by sun. He is the Atma of the entire universe. At the level of this Maya functioning, if you are talking about the Atma of the entire universe, at the level of Paramatma, then there is, we don't have these trees, this house, this person, this computer, this all doesn't exist. This is all nonsense. From the point of view of that Paramatma, there is nothing in the universe except that Paramatma. So from that point of view, when I take that as the truth, even sun is Maya. Even the Vishwatma is Maya. But the next level of Maya is, let us say there is a Vishwatma. There is a cumulative of various souls which separated from the really true Paramatma and have some illusion that they have to do something. Some Vedic dharma has to be established in the world, this has to be done, that has to be done. So there are various forces. Even though this is Maya, this is basically the next level of Maya. This is not pure Satya, but this is relatively more Satya. Compared to that, I think, yes, I mean, I have 2,000 followers. They are all doing what I want to do. I did a great thing. If I start thinking in those terms, that is mind that is engaging in that kind of Maya. So that is the next level of Maya. There is less truth in it. The absolute truth is only in the formless, the Niranjana Paramatma. The Vishwatma is formed. When I talk about sun, this is a Supreme Soul with a form, with various forms actually. So at this level we are talking about certain goals that the Divine Mother set out for. So we are talking about the will of the Divine Mother, what she wants. From that point of view, this is all Satya. But from the point of view of Paramatma, this is all Maya. But when you talk about the next level, mind is the next level of the Maya. This is basically your individual will has certain vision. The Divine Will has certain vision for this world. The Divine Mother has certain will. This should happen. At Boston in so and so year, an organization should start and they should do bhajan, they should do satsang. This should happen, this should happen. So this is the Divine Will. And that Divine Will is shown by Vishwatma Sun. And I may have a particular illusion that I am doing something important, very important in the world. Because of me, so many things are happening. That is the next level of Maya. If I overcome that Maya, I will think I am just an instrument. The Mother decided that so and so things should be done at so and so time. That is why all this is happening. If I think in those terms, I am not thinking at the level of my mind. I am thinking at the level of my Sun, Vishwatma. If I just ignore all these, if I just go into Samadhi, I am thinking even beyond Sun. Okay? So thinking in terms of the Maya at the level of Sun and the Maya at the level of Moon are two totally different things. See, I say that Shiva is Satya, Parvati is Maya, etc. Sun is Satya and Moon is Maya. That is true at one level. But at another level, even Shiva, the existence of Shiva and Parvati is also Maya. It is because Sri Mahamaya, whatever you call her, the supreme female element of the universe, she decided that just that formless, infinite Paramatma who pervaded the whole universe is not enough. Something else needed to happen. She decided it and she separated. And then she created Shiva and Parvati. She created Mahakala and Mahakali. Time personified was created because of the Divine Mother. And when time personified was created, various other divine beings were created. Brahma was created, Vishnu. All those came into being and the whole universe came into being. So when you are talking about Sun, you are talking about Maya at the level of Divine Will. When you are talking about Moon, we are talking about Maya at our individual way. Hope that is a little clear.
How does this work with Sahams?
Sahams, I don't use them. Because when Parasara talked about Sudarshana Chakra Dasa, he did not talk about Sahamas at all. So I don't talk about them. His point is there are so-called Sahamas, the significant points in the zodiac that we used in the past, the particular charts, and those are very important factors when you judge Tajika charts. Because there is a link between Sudarshana Chakra Dasa and Tajika charts. So his point is, how does it link with Sahamas? So my answer is, there may be some link, but we don't have any classical sanction. But definitely you can do some research.
Did you try to use that with Sahams?
No. I just used the classical principles of Parasara. I did not even use the standard yogas, etc. in Tajika. When I used this dasa, see, in Tajika you use only Lagna. But here I combine Lagna, Moon and Sun. I basically fish out for yoga, important combinations from the dasa sign. And then see if those planets stand for something in the natal chart also. For example, let me take 1994 January monthly chart and let's see D20. Let me take D20 and with this will conclude. Actually it should be previous. So, let us take 1994 January 5 to February 3. So I am taking the monthly chart that will show something that happened in spiritual life between 1994 January 5 and February 3. The dasa was that of Gemini, Pisces and Gemini. So from the point of view of mind it is Pisces. From the point of view of Lagna and Sun it is Gemini. So let us see. So if you look at Vimshamsha, take Gemini. How are various planets? Pardon me? No. We already did that and we got this. You take the Lord of Leo. Who is the Lord of Leo? Sun. Where is he? In Virgo. That is why the first Antardasha was Virgo, based on Surya Chakra. Then Libra and so on. Okay. So, I got lost again. We were here. So Gemini, let's see how it works. So if you take Gemini, see how various planets are in this particular chart. Who are well placed, who are not so well placed. From Gemini. Venus, well placed or not? Badly placed. Venus is badly placed. Mars, good. 1 versus 1. Sun, bad. Right? So 1 versus 2. Mercury. It's in a trine. It's in the 5th house. So 1 versus 2. No, 2 versus 2. Moon. Good. Because it is Krishnapaksha. He is a male king. So 3 versus 2. Saturn. Bad. 3 versus 3. Even though he is in own house in the 9th house, we consider it bad. 3 versus 3. Then Jupiter in the 10th house. Very good. Hamsa Yoga. So 4 versus 3. Rahu Ketu. Rahu Ketu are in the 11th house. Good or bad? So what's the overall score? 6 versus 3. So does it here stand out from the point of view of doing my actions in my spiritual environment, my actions that mold my spiritual environment, that interact with my spiritual environment, is Lagna Chakra, as well as the opportunities I get to pursue my spiritual activity. So from both the points of view, this is a month that stands out. In this month, will something important happen? Yes, you can expect that during this month, something very important will happen. Okay? Now, are there any yogas given here? Any important yogas given with respect to Gemini when you look at various planets? Are there any yogas given? This is simply regarding spirituality. Yeah, look at all and tell me if there is any planet who is well placed, who is giving a yoga. Forget the good and bad placements using the thumb rules. But any yoga, taking Gemini as Lagna, do you see any yoga? Shrine and?
But 5th and 11th Lord in 3rd house.
Yeah, 5th and 11th Lord, why is it a... Okay. But actually you made a good point. Forget 11, take the 6th. 5th and 6th Lords together. Is that a yoga? Himanta yoga is basically applying intelligence. So basically that shows some kind of application of intelligence. Relating to what? 3rd house is basically initiative. So bringing the initiative and obstacle overcoming ability together and having some initiative relating to that. And using the D-Shakti, intelligence, to do something, to initiate something basically, because this is initiative. So Venus and Mars yoga is one good yoga. Anything else? Sun aspecting Jupiter, is there a yoga between them? That doesn't give any yoga. And Saturn in the 9th house, 9th Lord in the 9th house, is that a good yoga? There is no name for that yoga, but if you have the 9th Lord in the 9th house, it's basically a great blessing. So Saturn is very well placed. What does 9th house show? Dharma, religion, etc. So Guru, good guidance. So during this period, and look at the natal chart. First look at Venus and Mars. They are giving a yoga in the natal chart also. Venus and Mars, if you see, they are together in the 5th house of Bhakti, 5th house of devotion from Lagna. And if you see Moon, they are again giving a yoga in the 3rd house of initiative. If you take Sun, they are in the Surya Lagna. Again, are they giving a yoga? No, they are not giving a yoga. But they are giving a Raj Yoga, a good yoga with respect to both Lagna and Moon, Venus and Mars. Venus is well placed, but Mars is 8th Lord. So 8th and 9th Lord, it's not a yoga. I was looking for a special yoga. From Moon, they are the 4th and 5th Lords together. From Lagna, they are the 1st and 7th Lords together. So both the ways, Venus and Mars are giving a Raj Yoga. So the same planet is giving a yoga in this chart. And Saturn, he is a Yogakaraka. He is in own house, giving Sasha Yoga. That Saturn being in the 9th house in own sign, he is well placed. He shows basically a 9th house is strong, you have good guidance from within. So you make the right decisions basically. 9th house is important for making the right decisions. It is the internal guru. So your internal guru is giving you Saturnine advice. You see, so until then I was doing various pujas, but suddenly one day I felt in January, why don't I do Lakshmi Ashtakavarga 108 times every Friday? The 108 names of Lakshmi Devi, I used to read a few times every now and then, once or maybe 3 times. But I thought, there is a line there that says, Bhagavare Satam Dhiman Pathet Vatsaramatakam Ashtaishwaryam Avapnoti Kubyara Yoga Bhutale. That means if you read Lakshmi's 108 names 100 times every Friday, and if you keep doing it for a year, you become like Kubera. You have 8 kinds of Aishwarya. So when 8 kinds of Lakshmi, basically, you have the blessings of Ashtalakshmi. So when I read that, I thought, why not do it? Then I thought, 108 times will will take too long. 1 time is good, 3 times is good, 11 times is doable, but 108 is too long. Then I thought, why don't I just do it one day, see how long it takes. If it's reasonable, why not just do it for a year? So one day I just decided. So basically the guidance from within was towards working hard. Saturn makes you work hard. When Saturn is well placed is the 9th lord in the natal chart from the Lagna, and he is in the 9th house from this Dasa sign, and he is well placed. And if he shows getting good guidance, that guidance will obviously not be to relax. It will be to work hard. It will be to basically have discipline and struggle. That is what Saturn does. So that kind of, the internal guru basically teaches Saturnine things. But bottom line is, he is well placed. And who else is well placed? Jupiter is extremely well placed. Jupiter is giving Hamsa Yoga. He is the 10th lord in the 10th house. So Jupiter is very well placed. And if you look from Moon, Sun and Lagna, how is Jupiter standing out in this chart? Which houses does he have to do with, based on all the references? Is there any house that stands out? Is there any house that Jupiter influences in the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa? So just from Lagna, he is 8th lord in the 6th house. So fine. But if you look at all Lagna, Chandra Lagna, Surya Lagna, all the 3 Lagnas, is there any single house that Jupiter strongly influences? Here. Let us see. From Lagna, he is in the 6th house. He aspects 2nd, 10th, 12th. 2, 10 and 12. Those are the houses he aspects, and he is in the 6th house. He owns 8 and 11. Now look from Moon. He is in the 4th house. He owns 6th and 9th. He aspects 8th, 10th and 12th. Okay. Now look from Sun. He owns 4th and 7th. He occupies 2nd. He aspects 6th, 8th and 10th. So when you combine all these, what are the houses that stand out in all the 3? 4th house stands in 2 of them, because from Sun he is the 4th lord, from Moon he is in 4th house. So 4th house is one of the houses that stands out. And 2nd house, from Sun he is in the 2nd house, from Lagna he is aspecting the 2nd house. So 2nd house is one house that stands out. And look at the 12th house. From Moon he is aspecting the 12th house. From Lagna also he is aspecting the 12th house. So 12th house stands out. So these are the various things. And out of these, which is really strong, more than aspect, occupancy and ownership are more important. So 4th house really stands out. Because he owns the 4th house from Sun and he occupies the 4th house from Moon. What does 4th house show? Comfort, direction. In spiritual life, comfort comes from having a direction. 4th house is the house of mother. 4th house is the house of comfort. So, see, for example, Shankaracharya says, Gatistvam, 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 Bhavani. So, Gati means direction. And he says, Mother Bhavani, you are the direction to me. You give me the direction. So that is why 4th house shows mother as well as 4th house shows direction. Because it is from that house that you get direction. And it is from having a good direction that you get comfort. If you are not well directed, you will feel uncomfortable, you will be unhappy. Real happiness comes from having a direction, having a clear gati, having a clear path to follow. So 4th house shows the path that you follow. In the D20 chart, 4th house will show the spiritual path, the spiritual direction that you have. It is the beginning of the Moksha Trikona. 8th house and 12th house are the other houses in the Moksha Trikona, but the beginning is 4th house. So having a good path is the beginning of your process of getting moksha. That is a seed. So Jupiter is influencing the 4th house. So that planet being strong in the particular month means that during that month there may be some good direction in spiritual life. And of course Jupiter is not only in the 10th house but he is aspecting the 4th house as well. So the influence Jupiter has on the 4th house here will be brought here. So that is one aspect, but as I said, Venus and Mars give a yoga in the natal chart. So that is repeated in this chart. So that is that is good enough, even though Venus is badly placed from Gemini. So overall count is good, 6, and the yogas are repeating, involving similar planets. So because of all that, you can conclude that during this month, something good can happen in spiritual life. The person can get direction. Sometimes it is very difficult to narrow down and say this is exactly what will happen. But you can at least say this is a good year for spiritual life. If somebody is expecting a layoff during a month, if you look at that monthly chart and if you see a very good score from Moon and Sun, you will, by Moon and Sun I mean from the Sudarshana Chakra Dasa as per Surya Chakra and Chandra Chakra. If you take that sign and see how planets are, if 5 and 6 are the scores, you can conclude that he will be happier. Basically during that month there may be some tension, but eventually he will be happy. Maybe once the month starts, maybe after 10 days there is an expected layoff, he is very worried and he comes to you. You can look at that and tell him, probably you will be okay. But again, you can combine this with other things that you already know, like Pravesha, etc. And then you can make more confident predictions. But according to Parasara, this is one of the techniques, especially when you use it with Ashtakavarga. This is a technique that gives you EV predictions on a daily, weekly, monthly and annual basis. And you can also look at 2.5 days. When you look at Prachyanta Dasas, you can see that each is basically 2.5 days. So you can see what is happening in those 2.5 days. And now I will just say one point. Even though when I looked at this monthly chart now, and when I looked at the yoga, I correlated them back to the natal chart, right? Does any of you honestly think that that is illogical? Annual chart. You have to remember that months are coming from years. Years are coming from natal chart. So dashas are coming from the natal chart. Each dasha is divided into antardasha. Each antardasha is divided into prachanta dasha. So when you look at some yogas that are repeating, etc., you should correlate the annual chart with natal chart, and you should correlate the monthly chart with annual chart, the 2.5 day chart with monthly chart, and so on. That is the hierarchy. That would have been a more correct thing. So we'll try some examples in the next class. But think along those lines. And also, Parasara clearly said, by combining this with Ashtakavarga, you can make very good predictions. And apart from counting good and bad planet scores, you can look at Ashtakavarga scores in various houses. And when you use the Ashtakavarga, you have to combine the previous level. You use the natal Ashtakavarga with the annual chart. You use the annual chart Ashtakavarga with the monthly chart, and so on. So I will talk about all those things in the next class. And like I said, I want to clarify this once more. Whatever I am teaching in this class and the next couple of classes is not really from the tradition, even though this is not against tradition. This is not from the Achyuta Dasa Parampara. This is not something that Sanjay ji taught me that I am sharing with you, like Iti Pravesha. This is something that Parasara taught. I basically understood what Parasara taught, experimented, and also talked to Sanjay ji and made sure that he is also happy with my understanding. And then basically I am teaching you. So this is basically from Parasara speaking and not from the teachings of our tradition. So we will, after finishing this topic, we will go back to tradition. So with that, I will finish for today. Yes?
The rules of not make names. Do you have repeat it every day or once a week?
Why? Where does it came from? Where does it Not Lalita. The one that I was doing was Lakshmi. You can do any time, but that line says Bruvare Satam Dhiman. Athed Vatsar Matakam means on Friday, if an intelligent person, actually there is a condition, an intelligent person. See, they are very clear. If an intelligent person reads this on every Friday for 100 times for a year, for just a year, he will become like Kubera. So actually in my case what happened was, at that time I was only 24. I was actually 23. So I was excited when I read that line. Okay, cool. I want to be Kubera. So I started reading it, but during that 1 year I understood. The money doesn't really matter. And I was much more happy. I found direction in my life when I did it. And then I decided, I will not stop this. I decided that I don't want to be Kubera. I don't want to be anybody. I just want to be myself. So I don't want to do it with a particular desire. I'll just do it. And I've been doing it for the last 11.5 years since then. So if you want, you can, especially if Venus is a good planet in your chart, Vinshamsa, Navamsa, Rasi, it's a very good thing to read, Lakshmi Ashtotram. If you can't read it 108 times, at least on every Friday, if you read it 11 times, or even 3 times, or even 1 time, it is very good. You will have the blessings of Lakshmi.
With the 5 years, because usually from the birth time, every 5 years the typical cycle.
Yeah.
So does it have any correlation with this?
It may, but the thing is, bottom line is, results don't exactly repeat. So for example, if you take my D24, actually my 12 years will come, okay, leave it. D24, we saw my 1987 annual chart. So if you see 1999 annual chart, right? You see the 1990, see we saw my 1987 annual chart. Remember Scorpio Aries? We saw that there was a big score. I feel great during that year. If we saw from Scorpio, I thought we had a score of 8 or 7 or 8 and 1. Okay, so we had 8 out of 9 were well placed. So we realized that from the learning point of view, learning environment point of view, and mind's point of view, that was a brilliant year. That is what we concluded. Now, if we do the same thing for 1999, in the 1999-2000 year, same Dasha came again. Scorpio, Aries, exactly same Dasha, based on the 3 chakras. But are the results the same? There may be some similarity, because Parasara did not say don't use natal chart at all. He said use the Dasha Pravesh chakra. He said Vashadao, Masadao, which means at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the month, see the planet positions from that sign. And then based on it, give the reading. So it may be possible to also look at which planets are in the sign in the natal chart and give some basic reading. That may show some repeating patterns with a 12-year cycle. That may show. But we are specializing in specific results based on the exact year. So for that, if you see Scorpio, from the same Scorpio, if we see during this year, is a similar thing possible this year? Let us see. Sun is benefic, Ketu and Rahu are malefic, Saturn is benefic, 2 versus 2, 4 versus 2, 6 versus 2, 6.5 versus 2.5. So it's not that great. But even this year was a good year. Even this year, actually this was a year when I seriously learnt a lot of things from Sanjayji. I met him before, but during 1999-2000 I learnt a lot of things. So I was expecting this year also to stand out. So this year also stands out from the learning environment point of view. I was very happy. The reason may be that if you see the natal chart itself, if you see from Scorpio, there may be some good points. So that may be running as an undercurrent. But 1 year it was competitive success. Another year it was not competitive success. It was basically getting a lot of knowledge related to astrology. So let us see, if you see various planets that are in this house, what they stand for. In 1 year, it was Sun, Moon, Mars giving Trilochana Yoga in Scorpio, giving basically killing enemies. In the other year, it is just Sun. And Sun is Dhatukarka in my chart, it shows Guru, etc. And see where Jupiter is in that chart, this chart. What are the various yogas, etc. If you see all those yogas, the yogas will be different, the planets will be different. So based on it, the results will be different. So the bottom line is, there may be something like Jupiter cycle, there may be something that actually repeats. Every 12 years, there may be some results that repeat. you can conclude it based on the natal chart itself. But you look at individual years. 1 year maybe I'll give you examples in the next class, but there may be a case where 1 year was excellent, but 12 years later, that year may be very bad in the same area of life. That is also possible. And sometimes 2 years may be good, but the goodness may be different in different ways. It may be through different activities. So we'll see more examples later and it will become clear. But keep in mind that this technique can be used and you can use the thumb rules to figure out good or bad, just to put a tick, yes or no kind of results. If you want to give daily results, weekly results, etc., this is a good technique. And in addition, if you correlate the yogas, find the yogas and correlate them with the natal chart, you can get a good sense of when which planets will give their results, which year, which month, which day, etc. So we'll do some more examples and then it will become clear. So, I'll end. Om Shanti Shanti